This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got really outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It's a new dawn when it comes to sim racing in Australia. This is the series that everyone wants to win. This is the series that consistently brings together best in terms of participation. This is the one which everyone needs to. We're at the fantastic track once again. It seems to be a starting home for many a sim racing season for this championship. One which has been in the annals of history for a very long time. Welcome to the greatest sim racing on planet Earth. Welcome to V8SCOPS. It's the two Ezy Finance Montreal 250 to start off racing proceedings. But before the 250 comes something more important than that. It is Super Split 2. 40 drivers, 1 seat. That magical seat takes you to the dance, takes you to the main event tonight, and 250 kilometers worth of racing. It's Jake Sperry here in the commentary box, joined with Reese Gardner alongside the Southpaw Racer. That he is Jake Kennedy on the cameras for us at the moment. And of course, here on the iRacing Esports Network, this is a SimSpeed TV presentation. And Reese, you have to talk about this. It's a fantastic new season. It comes up every year, and we say, this is going to be an exciting season. This is going to be an exciting season. This is going to be a very exciting season.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, everyone. Keen to kick off another season of V8SCOPS racing, and it is going to be a super exciting season, this one. We say it every time, and it turns out that way every time, but there's a couple of other elements we're going to consider for this season. We got new cars, we got a new tyre model, we've got new people jumping into these Australian touring cars and trying to stake their claim against the best. There's been quite a bit of controversy leading up into this round, but the green flag is about to drop. We're ready to go racing. I'm ready to go.
Well, we're all ready. We're all raring to see action going on today. But before we get over to racing action, Reese has been very, very busy when it has come to preparations for the start of this season. He's got the numbers. He's got the facts. He's understood everything that this track has to offer. So get an eye on this then as we go to the fact file.
The Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada is the first track we visit for V8SCOPS 2020. In the real world, it's the home of the Canadian Grand Prix, and since 1978 has built a reputation as a difficult track that produces exciting racing. That's certainly true in the sim world as well. This place has become one of the best tracks to watch Australian touring cars on the iRacing Esports Network. Located in public parkland on a man-made island, the 14-turn track is temporary and publicly accessible for most of the year. It's a circuit comprised mainly of chicanes, which might not sound too fun on paper, but with close walls, long full throttle sections, and varying corner speeds, it ends up being a tight but fast and flowing ride. That said, if you think this circuit is cramped, just be grateful you're not driving on the original layout from 1978. You had a few more turns to contend with back then. The drivers will want to watch out in the first half of lap 1. A full field of cars going through the narrow canyon from turns 2 to 6 can be a recipe for disaster if you don't take care. We've seen plenty of pile-ups here in the past. Turns 5 and 6 are crucial. The cars that usually race here can take the right-hand sweeper flat out, no problem. But these cars need a light balancing of the throttle to keep the weight on the fronts so you can get over to driver's right for turn 6. If you're battling and you keep the throttle in just a little bit more, you end up in prime position for a defense or a pass. The exit of this chicane and the one after it have exits that open up, and you have walls greeting you in both cases if you make a mistake. 650 horsepower through a locked differential doesn't like accelerating through a curve, generally, so a mixture of caution and confidence is needed when putting the right foot down. Meanwhile, down at the hairpin, we find the most obvious overtaking opportunity on the circuit. A curving run-up into heavy braking. I'd say most drivers would use first gear here, and then a nice wide exit to maximize your run onto the casino straight. At the other end of this straight, we come to the most extreme examples of Montreal's difficulty. First up, the pit entry. It's a fast one, on the racing line, but requires you to brake later than you would if you were taking the last chicane normally. If you've got no one in front of you, happy days, but if drivers are in a pack when the pit window opens, there's high potential for a fender bender if they don't keep their eyes open. Then there's the chicane itself. This track has big curves on many of its turns, and using them to maintain momentum is key to lap time, especially in these heavy beasts. But iRacing's automated penalty system is in full effect here, so if you make even the slightest mistake, if you push slightly too far, you'll be hit with a brutal slowdown. Even the best drivers fall victim to this, so it's very much a risk versus reward lap around this track. Who's going to fall prey to Montreal's foibles? Who will come out on top? Find out this weekend as we get rolling on the biggest V8SCOPS season yet.
There you see the facts, there you see the stats, and there you see in the top right of the screen, Bo Albert's just gone fastest here in practice, 1:34.992. That tells you all you need to know with just under 7 minutes before we take ourselves to the Super Split 2 starting grid. And this is what I love about Super Split 2, is the fact that anybody who is anybody has that opportunity to go out there, be quick, get those times in. But big issue with times being quick in Super Split 2 is the fact that positions on the grid are determined by 18 hours of pre-qualification. That's what makes it difficult to get into the top 40. Reese, how difficult is it to qualify for this series? You know that you've got a second opportunity, some would say, if you get yourself outside of the top 40, but just trying to put yourself in the process to qualify is a very, very hectic thing.
It absolutely is, especially when you're new to these cars. You're still learning about them, still learning what it takes to be quick in them, and putting in the hours to try and get yourself onto the grid. It is very tough pre-qualifying here, and I think at least 10 drivers or so set times, but ultimately were not able to actually make it into either field for tonight. So that shows you how many people are vying for a spot here and how close the times are.
And those times are very close at the top. It's only 2 thousandths at the moment that splits P1 and P2 in terms of how things are going to be going tonight. But this is going to be a very good circuit, I think, for finding an overtake if there is one available. It's a street circuit. Wouldn't necessarily have that street circuit feel. I know when I was a small child playing F1 Career Challenge 99-02, the game by EA Sport, I know that I did not consider this track to be a street circuit race.
No, and it's technically not open to road vehicles, but it is publicly accessible in terms of walking and cycling and stuff like that. This track is built on a man-made island known as Ile Notre Dame. It was originally built in the 60s to host Expo 67, a lot of exhibition pavilions on this island, and now it is home to a racetrack since the late 1970s. So it's a track that has quite a bit of flow to it. It still does have some street circuit feel, especially in the first sector that we're about to see Andrew Dyson go through here for DPR Racing, and very nice onboard shot of what the drivers have to contend with, not least these chicanes.
Well, now you've got 3 drivers within 0.02 of a second. Josh Pickett has perfectly just split Bo Albert and Andrew Dyson here in Super Split 2. So you cannot get a tighter field in terms of how do you want to fight. You've got to look at some of the names here. Bo Albert is not someone you'd synonymously expect to see with second split in terms of a driver that is. Andrew Dyson has been very consistent over the course of this season. You've got some big names in here. The likes of Sean Thompson shouldn't be in a second split, some would say. You've got drivers that you look up and down the field and say, well, these drivers are quick and they can get a little bit quicker. I was surprised Steven Vargas, so down as he was in pre-qualifying, but it goes to show you there is a strength in this field, and a lot of drivers are needing to try and take a race, maybe 2 races here, get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, there's a couple of things you have to consider in this circumstance. One, it is the first round of the season, so everyone's had different levels of preparation over the summer break for this season, but also the new cars. These cars are they have their similarities to the cars that we used to race in this series up until last year, but a couple of things have changed. They do require sort of a different level of control, roughly the same as what they used to be, but it's hard for some drivers to try and strike that balance, which is why we're seeing so many top-level competitors from last year finding themselves here in Split 2.
Exactly, and this is going to be a very, very tough challenge for those who do have to go through this Super Split 2. But there are some positives in terms of the way that you can race. You can make overtakes around this track. We've talked about in the fact file, Reese, how that final chicane can be so difficult, especially with that 3-second slowdown, 3.5 seconds, that sometimes comes about from getting too greedy on the curves. But let's talk about pit entry from last year, as there was huge disaster that happened in Super Split 2 that completely changed the way that the race was run for people.
Yeah, Forzan El Nabi, and I think it was Lee Ellis involved in that particular incident. Oh, Ross Rizzo and Lee Ellis, my apologies. Thank you, Jay, for your corrections. He's in our ear, and he's going to be all season, helping us when we get things wrong. But that definitely did highlight the big problem with pit entry here. And I did say it in the fact file, if you have someone in front of you and you want to pit, you're not going to be able to maximize your pit entry. You're going to have to back off, speed back up once the car in front of you is out of the way, and then get back in again. But if someone's at the front of a pack, then they're going to have a massive advantage. They'll gain a lot of time on that pit entry.
And that's why track position around this circuit is going to be so vital here today. It's not easily going to be available for you what you want to do. You've got to be really nice and calm about the way that you run, and this is going to be one of those races you look at and say, well, it's going to be difficult. There's one mandatory pit stop here in this race. It's a 25-lap sprint, and it is going to be whoever makes the least mistakes gets themselves to the top. In terms of having that one pit stop, that sprint format, which has always come along for Super Split 2, how difficult is it going to be for drivers knowing that they've got to get moves done quickly? Does that often lead to drivers getting more aggressive, more likely for a safety car?
Oh yeah, definitely. Montreal has actually been one of the tracks that we've gotten the most safety cars on in any sim speed broadcast. It's right up there in terms of carnage potential, and we certainly saw that last year as well, right at the start. So drivers are going to be aggressive, but they've still got to think about the strategy. They got a 60% fuel tank restriction, so that's 66.5 litres of fuel in the tank. It'll take about 93 to 95 litres to go the full race distance in Super Split 2, a fuel usage of about 3.7 litres per lap. So you'll start seeing drivers pitting in between 11 laps in and 11 to go.
And that pretty much tells you all you need to know about strategy. Timer, though, expires on the left-hand side of screen here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal. It means that we will be taking you over to the starting grid for proceedings here for this Super Split 2 race, which preludes the 2 Ezy Finance Montreal 250 as part of the SCOPS season. The grid shall be as follows, with Craig Jones on the pole, Andrew Dyson alongside. Then it's Cameron Dance and the new team boss of Evolution Racing Team, Jamie McKnight. Sean Linsdell will go at this one from 5th place with Christian Smart 6th. Then it's Stuart Coulter and Michael Skurlock with Tyler Bowen 9th and Jacob Knight in 10th.
Starting in 11th is Kenneth Latter. Joshua Pickett joins him on row 6 for XG Motorsports. Sean Thompson starts in lucky 13th position. Damon Mulqueen alongside him for Synergy Sim Racing. Sharing row 8 is David Kinmond and Rob Harris. Excellent stuff to see there. Harold Stadler, one of the rare internationals, Austrian, starting in 17th position. Reese Keane joining him on row 9. And the top 20 rounded out by Bruce Kiley and Guy Leach.
Rest of the drivers cycling through on your screen very quickly. It's only a 1-minute gridding procedure here for this section of racing. It's going to be a tough race here for these drivers. They've got to be on it from minute 1. Josh Pickett already struggles with technical issues straight away. Green flag drops, and let's get themselves going. Struggling with the line lockers. Huge struggles with the line lockers. Look at this, straight away. They're going to dive straight through towards turn 1. Who's got the best start of the lot? As they go through, Dance is in trouble. They've almost had trouble into turn 1. One vehicle already around. That's Coulter, who's gone around in the Mark 1. More vehicles going around. 2, 3 vehicles, and more trouble. Bang, bang. McKnight.
There we go.
And going up and over, and surely there has to be a caution for that up and over on the roof as they go through. All of a sudden, track's blocked. Andrew Dyson was clear. Smart up into second as they continue to go through, but suddenly we are still green for the time being. My word.
Yeah, no safety car for now, which is interesting to see, but it looks like the likes of the guys up at the front getting away nicely, but that XG car there having a bit of trouble now in a pack running up to the chicane. The track is still blocked. There has to be a safety car now.
There is. They've just called it. The safety car has just been called. I think it was a late call and maybe some issues on the end of those who were trying to get everything going. There were similar issues that happened earlier on last year in terms of safety cars, but Andrew Dyson, who had a brilliant start, will not get that start that he wanted, and this has been what we were fearing in terms of these starts. It's a line-locked start. It's a difficult start in these vehicles, and if you get it wrong, you're bogged down for 3 millennia and an extra decade added on top of that. It was a horrible, horrible start into turn 1 and turn 2, and there were 5 separate incidents that happened in the space of one turn 1, turn 2 section.
Yeah, and we're going to try and dissect that here thanks to a modem simulation replay. McKnight got a slide on there into turn 1, which obviously opened the door to Sean Linsell behind him. It looks like McKnight did that all by himself, spinning on the curb. Unfortunately, Linsell, a complete passenger, innocent victim there, had nowhere to go, and neither did the rest of the field streaming in through this narrow section.
Yeah, and that's all the difficulty. See, Bo Albert facing backwards was not the way he wanted to go. Let's look at this from Craig Ansbach's perspective. Bo Albert then will go on board with him. Look at this. He's right on that inside, trying to get aggressive. He's gone in deep. Oh, you can see he's just ran himself out of road. He's made contact there, and there's another vehicle in front of him that runs himself into trouble. So he gets himself onto the power, and all of a sudden, I'm going to try and find a way through. Let's cold trickle it. No, we can't cold trickle it. Finds himself into a load of issues. So let's get an understanding then of where everyone is in this field. Andrew Dyson leads. He started this one from 2nd position on the grid with Christian Smart in 2nd. Jacob Knight from 10th all the way up to 3rd. Craig Jones is there in 4th. He started on the pole. Sean Thompson 13th to 5th. You look at other drivers. Harold Stadler already up into 8th place. Bruce Kiley up into 10th. Guy Leach is into that 12th place from 20th on the grid. There's been some huge movers and shakers. 1 lap for Stephen Varga. He's taken half the field already here, Reese, so there is a lot of positions to be made.
There certainly is. Varga currently sitting in 18th position there, starting all the way at the back of the field. And this is the kind of advantage that people like Varga can expect because we know that there's plenty of drivers out there who exercise a cool head in race conditions, try and find their way around the carnage that happens. So this isn't really the way that we wanted the season to start here in Super Split 2, but at the very least, we're going to get a clean restart very soon.
I can tell you there have been 8 retirements from the opening lap melee, and the biggest winner of them all, who's only just managed to get back into the race, is Josh Pickett. He will be 1 lap down, but I think that he's got the best 1 lap down in the house because he'll still be getting some pretty sizable points from this.
Yeah, he certainly will. That's going to be something that will be in the back of his mind. He'll be concentrating quite a bit on that, nearly looping it on the exit of the chicane, but something to think about in these cars, especially with the new tire model, is how the tires get warmed up. The cars are very slick on those cold tires, and once you get them up to temperature and you have that nice window of grip, it doesn't last too long because it's pretty high tire degradation. The drivers won't have to worry too much about that in this short race, but it's still something to consider as the distance goes on, as your car gets harder to drive. Vincent Skilbeck at a standstill for wheelie bins on the start-finish straight. He's going to be another unfortunate victim of the events here.
I think he certainly is at the moment, and they'll need to get him cleared because they're going to try and get the safety car to go green this time by. And of course, talking about safety cars, you've got a fantastic new thing. It's a new season. There's a new safety car driver. It's not Simon Mazzomo anymore. It's Nick Parker, who is behind the wheel of the safety car. So we'll see how good Nick is going to drive around here, and hopefully he will have a good run, as Simon Mazzomo is currently racing at the moment for us here in Super Split 2. He is in the 515 machine. He is down in 25th position, so he's doing maybe a little bit better than he would in the safety car, some would say, but he's having a very nice run of things. He gained 3 positions off the start with the massive incident that happened through turn number 2. But Reese, sometimes you just got to take a moment to just take yourself away from things, have a little bit of a breather, so to speak, but you got some good heads on some good shoulders here at the front of the field. Dyson Smart and Jacob Knight all know how to be quick coming off a restart.
Yeah, they do, and it's going to be Dyson who assumes control of the field once they come out of the final chicane. The actual restart zone, where the leader is free to start accelerating, is actually somewhat before the chicane. It's in the braking zone, so Dyson has a lot of freedom on when he can go, but you're not allowed an overlap until you're past the chicane. So there's a little bit of thinking to do on this restart. Away pulls Mr. Parker, our safety car driver, and the field is now under the control of the 041.
Yes, and what's very crucial is they haven't had too much of a run to get the tyres up to temperature, so they're still going to be cold here, as they will go back to green flag racing here on lap number 4, out to 25, a manual safety car run here in the SCOPS series. Andrew Dyson in control of this field. This will affect the fuel numbers for this race, the 25-lap race. We were expecting 11 on, 11 off, so to speak, but now that fuel window has moved by a couple of laps. Dyson waiting for the chicane. He should go just before, and hopefully he gets a good run. He does, and Jacob Knight's the one who struggles as they get the green flag going, and they will get themselves back to green flag racing. It will be Craig Jones who will be best poised here to try and make this move into turn number 1. Can he get it down the inside? No, he didn't have good enough of a run to make that happen as they go through. No worries then from this restart. A lot of room being given from the middle of the pack. No, there's one vehicle who's gone pretty much around almost there right at the start. Didn't quite catch who it was. It was Tom
Bruce
Parks.
Kiley around.
And Kylie's gone around as well at turn 2. He's going to have to wait for the whole field to go around.
Poor Bruce Kiley. He was in 10th just then. Got a slowdown as well for Cameron Dance. He's had to pull right over there, and that's a very dangerous spot on the circuit to do that, coming into turn 6. Very tight through there, but Dance now on the back foot thanks to this track's difficulties.
Yeah, and because this has been such a slow laps under safety car, those slowdown penalties will hurt a lot in terms of how they are run. Craig Jones was under pressure, and there goes Sean Thompson, straight around 90 degrees into the Armco barrier. He just taps it as he goes through. That was not what Sean Thompson was looking for in terms of taking that corner. He dropped a whole host of positions, and they battle down at the hairpin right now as Rob Harris now and Tyler Bowen and the likes of Cam Dance all have a scrap. Oh, Cam Dance heavy over the curb through Lapangle, and you don't often make a mistake there. That was the Hampstead corner, and look at this damage from Jamie McKnight, and he's going to breeze by.
Oh my goodness, McKnight missing the front end of his car, and there goes Cameron Dance up the inside of Tyler Bowen, and he is going to push the track limits quite hard. Backs up Bowen on the exit. That's given another run to McKnight, but he doesn't have much straight line speed. As you can see, all of the parts are visible.
All the parts are visible. You can see under pressure into turn number 1. Around the outside you go, Rob Harris. Has he got this one done? I think he has here on the inside. And it's going to be a tough battle on the exit there for McKnight, because he's going to lose one to Guy Leach as well. That's horrible work for Jamie McKnight, and you have to say, tough luck, kiddo. You're going to have to work. But look at Andrew Dyson at the front. 1.3 seconds clear of Christian Smart in the Gone Road Motorsports car. There you've got Jacob Knight there in that fantastic Exto gaming car as it looks to go through. That Holden trying to chase down at this point in time and make sure that everything works. Traffic already becoming a factor. That's John Kenton, who's managed to just get out of pit road as they go through. McKnight's under even more pressure now. Here's Chris Pennell going to make a way through in towards the third chicane out on track. And then, of course, there is the final and fourth of the chicanes here on this road. And again, it seems that it is Jamie McKnight who will be trying to play damage limitation in the ERT car, but he knows he's not going to have much time for damage limitation here. As again,
Whoa.
under pressure. Look at this. Oh,
Varga.
far too deep from a Mark 1 car.
Yeah, that was Varga there. Way too late on the brakes. Speared right into the field at the apex. So he's lost a couple more positions on track. Great run out of the hairpin though, widening up the exit. And Michael Skurlock around as well. Drivers are having a lot of trouble getting used to these tyres.
Motor Simulation replay on screen then from the Illusion Motorsports driver. Skurlock here on the brakes. Oh, did he get a little bit of help there? Getting a bit deep, and then I've run out of corner here to try and get myself through, and that is the embarrassing reverse that will have to happen for these drivers, and they do not like hitting reverse. No sim racing driver does like hitting that reverse gear on their vehicles, but for the time being, great scrap going on just a little bit further down the field. What a run Harold Stadler's having, by the way. He's up into 5th place at the moment after starting 17th. Cam Dance trying to find a way back through, but it is Harold Stadler who is doing a sterling job, as it is an all TechSense Pitstyle Motorsports battle for 5th and 6th, the English-based team.
Indeed it is. Harold Stadler hailing from Austria, and a driver that I've known for many years in other realms of sim racing. Good to see him having a lob at Scops and doing pretty well versus Cameron Dance, who we know is a very hard competitor when it comes to race conditions, but Dance is still having those looks. He's looking to find a way past. Stadler will have to watch his mirrors.
Someone else watching his mirrors is going to be Christian Smart, because here's Jacob Knight, who is starting to harass that rear end that Christian Smart has. Look at the draft effect coming into play. Christian Smart has got nothing as they go towards the chicane, and he gets it done before he even hits the braking markers. That's how strong Jacob Knight has been. I wonder how much time he's lost, though, to Andrew Dyson. He's got to be absolutely on it at the moment as they go through. Gap is 2.3 seconds, so Jacob Knight, 2.2 even, has lost half a second over the course of that lap. He's got to get it all together once again. He's got that time to bring the gap through, but Dyson knows he doesn't have to worry. Someone who's worrying is Cam Dance, because Tyler Bowen wants back in on this battle, and he's not quite there.
Yeah, not quite. It's actually given a good gap to Stadler, has Dance. He must have had some kind of issue down at the chicane or thereabouts. Actually not wasting any time getting away from Bowen, it seems. He's got a good amount of pace in that Commodore.
Yep, and I just saw there Rob Harris, I think, just glance the wall through turn 4, turn 5 section, and that was always going to be difficult, turn 3, turn 4 section even, and that could have allowed Guy Leach the opportunity to go out and attack. Everyone knows how good Guy Leach can be when he's got a set underneath him. I think he's having a very solid run, started 20th, up into 9th, maybe thinking about 8th place at the moment. There's a belief that we've got ourselves, some big battling at the moment around Todd Parks and co. And there is Stephen Varga through on Craig Anspach, and he gives it a nice little direct to the flick to say, you know what, I've got all this track to use, my friend.
Yeah, well, now he's out of the pack, out of the woods, but definitely not the case with these guys. Brett Hender and Jason Hyde battling into the hairpin, as is the cars behind him. My goodness, that hairpin is becoming a very popular spot for side-by-side running, but the JK Science Commodore getting the run over that Fitzstein Motorsport car. That is Guy Leach there, making his way past Rob Harris for 8th place.
Yeah, doing a good job at the moment. Look at this, Rob Harris under pressure. Here's Chris Pennell trying to pick up a position if he can. Looking to the inside, turns to the outside for turn number 1. And he can't get the move done, so that will hurt. And he'll have to start looking, and now all of a sudden, there's a David Kinman who's sitting and waiting on the outside as they all look to try and funnel their way through. Still some side-by-side through turn number 2. This is Scott Nolan at the moment trying to deal with his battle at the moment. There's a Josh Pickett a lap down trying to get all of them. Brett Hender's the one in the hyperdrive car who's got to be a little bit careful here as they go through. Josh Pickett, remember, doesn't have a horse in the race. He's a lap down. He shouldn't really be fighting the way that he is, but he does have the pace and he has every right to go and unlap himself if he feels he is quicker at the moment. Todd Bucks is through on Craig Anspach in this mid-pack battle at the moment, but keep an eye out on this racing. It is not all over at the moment. Look how close it is at the moment.
Yeah, Sean Thompson with a bit of a run here, making
Bowman
his way
slow
past
down.
Anspach. Bowman, oh goodness me, that's a problem for Thompson, losing a bit of momentum. What's the problem with Bowen?
Bowen's got a slow down penalty. He picked it up and he's dropped 3 positions. So they've gone through. We saw Sean Thompson trying to desperately battle. Oh, that was almost contact. I think it was actually there with Jason Hyde. He was far too deep. And now they're 3 wide on the exit spin. Almost bang. Brett Hender into the wall. You knew it was going to happen with 3 wide coming on the exit. Struggling with torque on power as they go through. Brett Hender, I think here, has just looked at it and gone, oh, it's really not my day, and may cause a safety car that is right in the Richard Hampstead position as pits are coming in.
Yeah, well, people are going for the pits now, but it doesn't look like there is going to be a safety car because Hender has managed to get going again. Here's what happened. Anspach gets smacked off and then trying to get maintain his momentum. Unfortunately, they came together on the exit, and Hender, the unlucky one in all of that.
Absolutely, you could say that. There's more side-by-side because Scott Nolan's going to try and get through on Jason Hyde, which is now 14th, 13th position, and Nolan has just come out of the pits. So he's done very well in terms of his battle to get himself going, so some good jobs there, but keep an eye on this one. Battle 3rd and 4th on the road. Christian Smart is struggling on pace at the moment. Craig Jones wants a way through, hasn't been able to find it as of yet, but they are losing so much time at the moment. Almost a second has been broken by Jacob Knight at the front of this field in 2nd position. So now you start wondering here for Christian Smart. Maybe he needs those fresh tyres on the car, ASANP, to get himself into the battles once again. I would say field.
Yeah, exactly right. Taking a look once again at the 666 there of Rob Harris. And he'll be streaming this one. He's been having a right old time streaming over the summer, preparing for V8SCOPS, getting in on AOSC and Australian Turbo Touring Car action as well, facing big pressure from Tyler Bowen, who doesn't seem to be letting that lack of rear wing affect him that much.
Yeah, he certainly isn't too fazed by that lack of a rear wing. That back bumper is very much bruised and damaged at the moment. Rob Harris trying everything to get himself into a nice position to keep the scrap alive. Dave Kinman has been the big mover in that pack, though. He's got past all 3 of them, and Liam Wilde on the back of this as well. Remember, he started 27th position, did Liam Wilde. He's already up 15 positions in 10 laps. He's having a whale of a time at the moment as Cam Gance looks to attack Harold Stadler. Is there going to be some multi-team orders, multi-6 maybe? Not at the moment. Stadler will fight. They fight at Texense Fitzstein.
Yeah, they certainly do, and the battle back on once again between the 2 blue Commodores. This is really entertaining to watch. Dance creeping back up to the back of Stadler after losing touch with him earlier. Seems to have recovered his mojo somewhat. These guys still have yet to pit. I'm wondering if they will elect to pit at the same time.
Well, we wonder, and we will look to see if that will be the case, and it will be a tough pit entry for them. They do decide to pit at the same time. Lap 10 completed here out of 25. Your leaders have yet to come down in and make a stop at the moment. And again, no takers then from the front drivers coming down onto pit lane as they go on forward, as they look to try and have their own battles at the moment. Oh,
That's
how
a
close
slowdown for Harris.
Go through as Harris, does have a slowed down penalty and a big one at that. And it is that final chicane. We highlighted it, got himself through. Replay on screen, you can see, goes through the opening section. He got so much rotation through the first part that he was over the curb. And I think if you put an apex next to that apex, he still wouldn't have hit it.
Yeah, seems that way. Let's have a look at it from the air. He just got the grass, a bit of over-rotation on entry, so that fired him right across the inside of the corner. Unfortunate, but it's a split-second thing that can make or break a whole race.
Absolutely. More takers in on the lane. Jason Hyde has just come down in to make a stop, and it is a long pit lane here. And what's more important about this pit lane here at Montreal is that it is not what you'd expect. Formula One as here's Harold Stadler under a lot of pressure once again. Cam Dance wants a way through. A mistake from Stadler this time around, and here comes Cam Dance looking for the inside. Surely you've got to let him have it now as they go on the brakes. And no, yes, it's going to be a good move down the inside, and they nicely play together when they go through. I was going to say about pit lane, it's not a Formula One style pit lane. It's an IndyCar style pit lane. It goes a lot further than you expect, Reese.
Yeah, it does. This has the many pit slots that were put in when NASCAR's second level series raced here. Not going into the pits once again for Danson. Stadler! Oh, Stadler right into the wall of champions there. It's all gone. Belly up for Harold Stadler at the final chicane.
Well, somewhere in sim racing, Harold Stadler will become a champion, but it will not be in this race as he's hit the wall, and it's not the first time we've seen that, and many drivers seeing that stop thinking, okay, now's the time to come down into the lane. There could have been a safety car that could have been called a second one, like Damon Mulqueen decided it was time to jump into the lane. Rob Harris in there as well, as Stuart Coulter very nearly runs into the back of Daniel Cheney as they go on through, and I think this is going to be for position as they look to try and go through. So Cheney's going to be under a bit of pressure here to try and deal with this. Coulter's got to be wise here to this battle. A lot of drivers, you would say, in this pit stop window, out of position right now here, Reese.
Yeah, especially due to that early safety car and the pile-ups on lap 1. It's a recovery drive for a lot of the guys in this field, so a lot of work still left to do. We're just on lap 12 now of 25, so pit window is definitely open. Drivers will be looking to make their stops in the next couple of laps. Very narrow window.
Very narrow window indeed, but they know that they just want to make their pit stops good. I think that drivers will be more inclined to pit late at the moment than they would to pit early at this point in time. In comes Jacob Knight, and why wouldn't he at the moment? He knows that he was hemorrhaging time. He was down to a 3.6 second deficit to Andrew Dyson. Now he needs to bring it back. Christian Smart will follow in, and now everyone coming in, the likes of the one TechSense car and one Guy Leach, they look very similar in terms of where I was looking from. Like Scott Nolan also dives in. It is the pit stop window.
It certainly is. People diving in all over the place, and we're concentrating on that pit entry camera just to see if anyone pushes a little too far. What happened?
Mulqueen's in the wall.
Oh.
And that was at turn 2, coming straight out of pit road. He was going through the section to the right, and he's got no temperature in the tyres. He's just gone straight on.
Yeah, that is a real shame to see. Mulqueen with a bit of damage on his left-hand side as well. Here's the onboard of him coming out of the pits. You see the extended pit lane with more pit stalls that we were just alluding to before. No grip in the fronts at all. Too much momentum off into the grass and giving the wall a big kiss.
Yep, and it would have had a lot of those already through that section after what happened on lap 1. So give it a little bit more love. Why don't you at this point in time? We've got David Kidman trying to stay with Chris Purnell at the moment here. This is 3rd and 4th on the road at the moment, but both are due to come down in and make those stops, which are very much needed at this point in time. They're all looking at, okay, where's the right place for me to get in, get out, and get racing once again, I think is what they're all starting to think. And the question is, yes, for Andrew Dyson, he is going to cover off the move by Jacob Knight. He dives down onto the lane on the halfway stage lap 13 completed. of 25. And then to start lap 14, he'll be in there. Craig Jones has followed in, as has Purnell, but that will give a lap lead to David Kinmond.
Yeah, certainly will, and that car's looking a little bit worse for wear, not quite aerodynamically sound at the front, but Kinman's going to take this chance. He's got a bit of clear air, look after the tyres, bring it in nice and clean. I'd expect him in either next lap or the one after.
Well, he's in, and he's looking to get himself off and going off the jacks, but look how close Jacob Knight is going to be here to Andrew Dyson. Already on the power, as you can see, there is Jacob Knight going through turn 1, but already through turn 2 is Andrew Dyson. I'm sorry, Jacob, as good as that run was from you, there's not much you can do. And Craig Jones, though, he's going to come out ahead of Cam Dance, but not by much at this section.
Whoa.
Cam Dance, can you find a way down the inside? Oh, he's going to lunge for it. Go for it, my friend. Oh, no, that's not how you go for it, my friend. Into the wall goes one Mr. Craig Jones, and the Mark 1 car seemingly going the wrong way.
Not the best display of driving we've seen from Cam Dance, but looks like he's just slowing up to redress. He's going to lose a lot of time because Jones is still at a standstill here. Very bad spot of the track to have a spin. Not much room either side on the runoff. So there's Craig Jones. I mean, he had the right to the corner, I reckon. Dance wasn't fully alongside, but still, it looks like a little bit of racing room would have been given under some circumstances. It seems like it was it was quite a lunge from Dance, wasn't it?
It was quite a lunge. He needed to be bold, he needed to be brave, and ultimately it did not work. In comes then David Kinmond from the race lead, and he will look to make his stop nice and calmly as he goes on through and looks at everything that has been happening. It's worth noting that Tyler Bowen has had a very, very nice stop. He's come out just behind Rob Harris at the moment. It does now mean that Stuart Coulter is in prime position at the moment. He does lead this race overall, and he is the only car who I think is yet to come down in and make a stop. He's gone 15 laps on his stint, and all of a sudden he's going to be surrounded by an Andrew Dyson, and it doesn't matter what vacuum cleaner company you look at, he is going to be pretty much next in the firing line.
Yeah, that he is. It's going to be difficult for the drivers to sort themselves out in that circumstance. Battle on track, meanwhile, Todd Parks almost getting into the back of his teammate Scott Nolan. Oh, sorry, I had the names reversed. That's my first mistake of the year. And now they're chasing down Simon Mazzomo. Simon facing a two-pronged attack here from the Synergy boys.
Yes, but Simon Mazzomo is in probably the unluckiest position of all, 13th position. Scott Nolan, how far out wide do you want to go? You were saying here, Reese, you take that big wide line if you want to go out and attack. I think both drivers wanted to go out and attack, but how much do you attack? Do you use all your road tacks and a bit more? Here comes Scott Nolan, and he will not get that done into this fantastic third chicane. That's the toughest chicane of all to make a move, Reese.
Yeah, it certainly is. The chicane at the end of the back stretch. It's a fast entry. You have to make sure that you get over the curb to maintain momentum, but you hit the curbs even slightly wrong, they will spin you and the exit opens, so you're dealing with oversteer on the exit as well. If you can put a move into there, you're certainly up there in terms of skill.
Certainly are, as there is a battle on track. Kinmond, who's just come out of the pits under pressure here, as he now fights with Chris Purnell once again. Purnell looking for the inside, not close enough on the brakes. Had to take the wider line. You can see he's just tracking. Almost like a tracer bullet right now, trying to find a way through, and he's not getting it at the moment. Kinmond is one of the toughest cookies in the bunch to try and deal with a battle. So we'll see how that one plays out as the longer this race goes. I want to keep an eye on Christian Smart, though, because he is almost a lap down now.
That's interesting from Smart. Not quite sure what happened to him there, but he is carrying a bit of damage on his car now. Bruce Kiley around again. That's very bad problems in the first sector. It seems to be in the first sector that most of this stuff is happening.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Bruce Kiley will not be best pleased at the fact that he has gone around out on track. He has just been able to get himself going again. All of that happening through turn 1, turn 2. He was battling with Jason Hyde as they all came together, and it was a big hit from behind as well. That did not help Bruce Kiley's cause. Not one iota with the Motum simulation replay there brought to you for that one. He's back in 22nd position right now as Coulter again goes for another lap. But here's Cam Dance trying to get by Guy Leach. This one for 4th place. Leach on the inside, Dance on the outside. And, well, Guy Leach very much had the right to the corner, and that was a very easy decision to make there for Cam Dance. He had no choice. It's a one-line suits all chicane. You sit, you wait, and you drop yourself a good 6/10 through one corner alone.
Yeah, that chicane's one of the most difficult points on the track to complete a pass. You basically have to be right alongside, if not slightly ahead of the car you're trying to pass when you get into the braking zone. Coulter still has not pitted, so he's obviously getting an awful lot of fuel out of that tank.
Oh, he is. Oh, my goodness me. Into the wall. Wall of champions for Stephen Varga. He'll be a champion someday, somewhere. He gets 2 wheels up. Massive behind Jamie McKnight. He got down the inside of Lionel Stapleton, but 2 wheels, no control over it, and he's lucky he's only hit the wall at that speed.
Yeah, modem simulation replay of that, making the move on the Redback car. Yeah, goodness me, that's quite the leap there for Varga. Only a glance off the wall, though, so it's not going to add too much damage to his car. I reckon it'll buff out. Back to live pictures. Dance and Leach still battling, and they're coming up to the back straight once again. Another opportunity for Dance to try a move.
Yes, and he's not got long, though, in terms of wanting to get this move done. He knows he's got to get this one done pretty quickly if he wants to get this one working out for him. You can see a lot of power available to him at the moment, but not close enough this time to get the move done. It's a case of Noah's Ark racing, you'd feel. You've got 2 pack scraps going all the way down the field. You've got Kinman and Purnell. Then you've got Henry King and Liam Ward. We haven't talked about Henry King today. He's been very quiet in terms of the way he's been run as Coulter finally departs for pit lane at the moment in time. We've also got Rob Harris and Tyler Bowen in their scrap at the moment. You could say Sean Thompson, Simon Mazzomo, and maybe Scott Nolan as well. Sean Thompson has dropped a position over the course of this lap and is about to lose a second one at the moment, as he did, I believe, hit the wall ever so slightly coming out to the 3rd chicane. Here comes down the inside. Simon Mazzomo can't get it done.
Oh, Thompson is doing very well to hold off the advances of Mazzomo here, and it's a drag race up the run to the 1st chicane. Thompson on the inside, he's got it done there. Mazzomo is a calm racer. He's served in race control in the past. He knows what is and isn't allowed in this series, so he's going to try and, well, he has one hell of a look, but not quite doing it at the moment, falling back into the clutches of the Synergy car behind.
Yeah, very true there, as Todd Parks was all over the back trying to get through. Back to Cam Dance. He's trying to get the move done here at the hairpin here on Guy Leach. That's going to be a very tough place for the Valentino Rossi-inspired driver as he goes through. And, well, if you were Guy Leach, you'd have to say you have to try and do a MotoGP move, so to speak here there, Reece. You'd have to try and dangle a leg out of the car to try and make yourself as wide as possible.
Yeah, well, he's giving a red-hot attempt to make his car as wide as possible, only leaving half a car's width on the left there, sitting right in the middle of the track. Yep, there we go. That's a good exit from Dance, but I don't know if he's going to be far enough up to make a move. He's certainly going to try. Here comes Dance down the inside. Will Leach be able to hold him off? He still has the position, but just backs off a bit. Dance running wide. Leach holding the position again. This is some very level-headed racing from Guy Leach.
And this is going to frustrate Cam Dance. He's going to start looking for moves that maybe aren't available. The percentage moves, the 50%, the 30%. Oh, big slide. As he goes on through, he's got to be careful about those. They hurt a lot more than you think on the tyres. So they continue in terms of their scrap. Andrew Dyson, though, by the way, has checked out at the front of this field. He's got 7.5 seconds in this race right now.
That's an incredible performance from Andrew Dyson. I mean, he is able to survive the carnage, and very unfortunate that Craig Jones could not make good on his pole position start. He's going to be way down in the field now, but Dyson has taken the chances offered to him, and he has stayed lovely and calm the whole way through. This has paid off nicely for him.
It absolutely has done, and now look at how much Guy Leach and Cam Dance have been battling here. Last lap times for the pair of them, 36.5, 36.4. Look at the lap time from David Kinman, 35.8. Difference, 0.7 of a second. Says all you need to know. He's within 1 second now. He's within that draft range. He'll be closing up and thinking, podium? Podium might be a nice idea. As again, Cam Dance, great run through the final section of corners, but cannot get that run out to that final chicane. For the run in towards turn number 1, you need to be tucked up if you want to get a move sorted. And again, on the brakes, turn 1, turn 2, not close enough. Guy Leach, ever the Imperial Iron Wall.
Yeah, looks like it, and he seems to actually be using a gear higher in the slow corners than other guys are. Usually in the hairpin and turn 2, you'd use first gear if you wanted the optimum exit. That's what a lot of the faster guys do. But Leach, no, he's staying in second gear. He's getting a smoother run, little less hard on his tyres.
Here comes Sean Thompson under pressure. Todd Parks has gone up and under him. He forced him too deep at turn 1, and thank you very much. The Synergy Sim Racing team pick up a position. Todd Parks finds himself in the unluckiest position of them all, 13th on the road, and there is clearly issues for Sean Thompson. He's had a little bit of contact here, a little bit of contact there in that KRF, the driver's seat car, and it seems that the little bits here and there are starting to take their tolls, and he will not be best pleased. He'll try and get back at one Mr. Todd Parks, but you can see already how much time they've lost to Simon Mazzomo, who's been running nice little 37 lap times, and there is not much that you can argue against the way that things have been run at the moment. Another good chance, though, coming for Cam Dance here as we've got ourselves 5 to go at the line. It seems that Cam Dance is now trying to set himself up again, middle of the road driving then from Guy Leach, who's just ever so slightly defending the positions here. I wonder if he's defending a bit too hard, because again, Cam Dance gets a good run through the final corner.
Yeah, and actually getting a pretty good launch in the second phase as well. So Leach trying to move over to cover him there, and he is covering over. Nice early apex for turn 1. Like you said last lap, Sperry, Leach is a stone wall, and Cameron Dance is having a lot of trouble trying to climb it.
Well, yes, he certainly is struggling to try and climb at the moment. It is very clear to see at this point in time as they all funnel their way through this fantastic right-hand bend, which leads to the brilliant braking zone of the left-right chicane that comes up at 5 and 6. And there is no dance, or no chance for dance at this point in time. It seems that someone's turned the music off. You can't dance at this point in time as they look to have their battles at the moment. Also got some very nice scraps going on a little bit further down in terms of the field. I've just caught an eye on Stuart Coulter, because both he and Dan Cheney have gone and got themselves through Sean Thompson. So Thompson's lost 2 positions over the course of the last lap, and that was all at the final chicane.
Yeah, that final chicane is proving to be the bogey spot on the track for a lot of drivers in this field. Motum simulation replay of that very incident. We'll see what happened to Mr. Thompson here. And coming up, there we go. Now we're on the back straight. Now, was this a mistake coming into the corner or just going in too hard? Let's have a look. Thompson completely misses the second apex there. Just a case of locking up, I reckon.
Yep, a little bit too aggressive. There you can see Coulter being the aggressor here against Dan Cheney in the Pit Sty Motorsports car, the Texens machine, around the outside into turn number 1. He took a big wide line. He's missed the apex by about 3 billion light years, and he's still been able to make that position. So that just tells you how good Stuart Coulter is if he's got turning from that far out. And Kinman absolutely flying at the moment. We were talking about this 36.2 from him the last time by. He is, by all intents and purposes right now, the fastest driver on track.
The fresh tyre advantage is massive at the time of this broadcast, so Kinman definitely taking advantage of that now that his tyres are in the operating window. He'll still have a little bit of a loss of straight line speed, but if he can make up enough time through the corners, he's definitely in for a potential top 3 if either Leach or Dance make a mistake, and Dance just made a mistake.
Yes, he did. He had to take 2 bites of the cherry through that chicane. He wouldn't have been best pleased at the fact that he had to do such a egregious bit of car control, but he had to use his pro dirt skills, which he is very, very good when it comes to a wing sprint vehicle, and that's where Cam Dance has the ability to control slides, which other, maybe lesser drivers wouldn't have that ability to.
Yes, indeed. It's versatility is the main point of contention when you're racing Australian touring cars, because these are just about the hardest cars to drive on the iRacing service. So if you get yourself in a good mix of cars, good mix of surface types, you'll be able to learn the car control basics. But once you get into these cars, you rarely get out of them if you want to be competitive.
3 laps to go here at Montreal for Super Split 2, the main event. The 2 Ezy Finance 250 of Montreal happening after this race, but it is a big scrap at the moment as Cam Dance tries to get through Guy Leach at the moment. They are only as well 3 seconds off of Jacob Knight if anything should happen to him. And there is a bit of traffic. It is going to be one of the easier bits of traffic, though. It is the former team boss of Evolution Racing Team, Brenton O'Brien. He's got a lot of damage, but he'll be nice and calm with these guys, letting them all go through. I wonder here, how aggressive do you go in the final few laps? You know you're not going to be fighting for a magical transfer spot. That one has gone away to the tune of 10 seconds of Andrew Dyson. But for the podium, surely you give it a red-hot go.
You absolutely give it a red-hot go. A podium is a podium, and David Kinman at the moment best placed on tyres, because you see Dance and Leach, they are really struggling on their rubber at the moment. They're wringing every bit of pace they can out of their cars, and in these last couple of laps, I reckon they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, and talking about drivers who may be in a lot of trouble, look at this scrap. Just behind them, Henry King, Tyler Bowen, Rob Harris, all there. Henry King has lost 2 positions, I do believe, over the course of the lap.
About to lose another.
See that go through, and he is about to lose another, it seems, but it's not for position. And here comes the look down the inside. Tyler Bowen going to try and get it done. Oh, he is. Both of them are going to go straight on, though. It's going to be a tactical move from Rob Harris. He lets them go. Split in the middle there as you go through. That's a brilliant job there from Henry King. He very nicely got that move done. He'll be happy with that.
Just sit back and let others make mistakes. That is the strategy that King was employing there. And meanwhile, Stephen Varga and Harold Stadler, 2 drivers that have not had a fun race side by side into the braking zone for the chicane. Varga manages to stay ahead for now, but these guys will be wondering what might it be.
Exactly, and both of them were having great runs. Varga's run himself into a few troubles here today, and Stadler can't quite get back into position. Go and get that done. Now the traffic has all gone through and done what they need to. The white flag will be coming in just a little bit for one Mr. Andrew Dyson in this field as he looks to try and get himself the run that he needs in terms of the race. Guy Leach starting to get a little bit of breathing room in terms of his scrap with one Mr. Cam Dance who's looking behind now instead of in front. The last thing that you want to be doing in terms of that battle, but they all know that they have been at the mercy of one driver, but we'll see how this last lap seems to go about its way of proceedings. It's been great racing. When we have been green, it was a messy start, but now look at this, a great move from Cam Dance. He's got a stunning run again as he'll look to try and get aggressive this time, will he? Outside looking here. Guy Leach has just been perfect. But look at this. He's going to try and pick up the inside at turn 2. Guy never saw that coming. That was fantastic tactical awareness then. But it's not over. They're going to have to go to turn number 3 and 4 if they want to get this one done. Has he got the look at the inside? I think Cam Dance is going to get this one nicely done and clean. But Guy Leach, oh, he gets the nose shot. And Kinman looking for a way to go. He's not quite got what he has wanted. I've kept an eye on Stephen Varga. He doesn't sound best pleased at the moment. He seems to be okay, though, for the time being at this point in time. But that was a very nice move. Kinman now looking. Which way does he start to find? Which way does he look? Try and get this move that works for him the best as he thinks about it. You got Guy Leach then, who has been defending. And I think the wheels may have just fallen off the wagon, so to speak, as he goes through. Just getting another little wiggle as he goes through, trying to put the power down. It is hurting him so much through this final section. Maybe down at the hairpin, not close enough. He's defending at every opportunity right now to try and get things going. But Andrew Dyson, you cannot say enough about him. He got the great start. He did the preparation. He stayed out of trouble. And now here's a golden ticket for you, my friend. Welcome to the main event for the two Ezy Finance Montreal 250 Super Split 2 is the O41s.
Excellent drive from Andrew Dyson. Brilliant display from the DPR machine. Coming home in second, Jacob Knight for Exto Gaming. Excellent result for him. Cameron Dance manages to hold on for third, but David Kinmond cannot get by Guy Leach for fourth place. Henry King is going to end up eighth in all of that. Stuart Coulter recovering to finish in P13. Just behind Simon Mazzomo. What an excellent race that was.
Absolutely, you cannot argue about the way that race was run. It was some brilliant battling up and down that field as they all look to go, and it seems like there are going to be some battles towards the end. Bruce Kiley desperately trying to chase down Craig Jones to the tune of half a second a lap. Do you dive at the final chicane here, my friend? No, Bruce Kiley thinks better of it. He's one of the perennial practicers of this field, and he just gets it wrong. And both drivers, I think, got it wrong. And there's a slowdown penalty, and bang, there's a freebie for Bruce Kiley as he comes to the line, and a freebie for Jason Hyde. Craig Jones, he will kick himself. That's two more positions for an atrocious day. They will not be happy about. Jamie McKnight coming to the line as well will feel very hard done by his point scores as well. Final couple of drivers coming through towards the end as well. They will all be looking for their points to go through. Sean Thompson is out of fuel on the last lap. And as much as you would like to make it to the end, my friend, you've got yourself about 50 seconds. Oh, his teammates hit him.
Oh, no. No. Oh, that is a big shame right there on the final lap. Looked like they were just held up in their battle, not quite looking ahead of them, not expecting Thompson to be going so slow. It looked like actually they were driving back to the pits or something. Lionel Stapleton, I mean, I'm not quite sure what to make of that.
I make of that as a penalty because that is dangerous on a slowdown lap. You wouldn't do that in real world style of racing, let alone virtual. So official classified result, they are going to be as follows. Andrew Dyson is going to pick up the win. His margin of victory, 9.9 seconds come the end from Jacob Knight, who had a fantastic start to this race. It was third position for Cameron Dance, and strategy meant that the 46 machine Guy Leach made up a staggering 16 places, 20th up to 4th. David Kinmond finishes out the top 5 with Chris Purnell up 16 places into 6th, up 20 for Liam Wilde. He gets 7th place. Henry King, good run for him, up 15 into 8th. Tyler Bowen started exactly where he finished, 9th place, with Rob Harris rounding out the top 10.
It's from 10th to 20th that we start to see some of the biggest gainers in the field. Unfortunately, Stuart Coulter has to settle for 13th, but Scott Nolan from 21st to 11th, Simon Mazzomo from 28th to 12th. Great drive from him. Todd Parks coming home in 14th. Stephen Varga coming home in 15th after starting all the way down in 36th. Harold Stadler finishes a position up from where he started, but it could definitely have been a lot better for him. Bruce Kiley, Jason Hyde, Craig Jones, our pole sitter, settling for 19th, and Daniel Cheney rounds out the top 20.
Christian Smart ran into issues. He was running up as high as second position at points during this race. He drops back 21st come the end. Brett Hender will be the last finish on the lead lap in 22nd. We saw the instant Sean Thompson and not his teammate Lionel Stapleton. The liveries look very, very similar. So Sean Thompson ends up with 23rd position, running out of fuel. Michael Skurlock gets himself into 24th position. Lionel Stapleton 25th. You got Damon Mulqueen 1 lap down, 26th, 27th, 2 laps down for Brenton O'Brien and Josh Pickett and Reese Keane as well in 29th. Hitting 30th place overall, with hitting retirement central and many laps down. Craig Anspach did not have a good day.
Neither did Jamie McKnight, who's classified in 31st, 5 laps down after starting in 4th place. Joel Kenton coming home classified 32. Ryan Jones retiring as well. Sean Linsell, the first driver to be classified behind the safety car in the official results. That's how bad the race was for these following guys: Linsell, Latta, Skilbeck, Blocker, and Bo Albert. That is your field. And now, Sperry, we get ready for Split 1 action.
We certainly do, and it will be coming up very, very soon. You do not want to miss this as part of the Virtual Racing School V8SCOPS 2020 season, because the two Ezy Finance Montreal 250 will be coming to you after this. We're going to step aside for one moment. We'll be back with Fallout from Super Split 2 and qualifying for the main event.
With the start of a new decade and a new era, where from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the 2020 season opener of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. As we say, let's go racing from Daytona. Round one of the Coke Series era is green. So much contact, Overland leaning on him. He was right up against the fence, and I think the saving grace is that when that 3 car came by, a very smart move by the 46 machine of Mullis to back off and give Reynolds an escape route. Logan Clampett may have an option to hit the eject button. He is second online on the outside. Here we come for the final time at turn 4. Leahy holds the bottom. Ottinger's gonna get a shove. They're gonna wreck behind in a photo finish, and it's good enough on the inside. Keegan Leahy, by 4 1/1000ths of a second, wins the season opener at Daytona. And we'll relive all of the action on the final lap here. You're going to see the wreck coming from behind, but Ottinger had a whale of a push from Logan Clampett. You can see 4 5 wide crashing. In fact, most of the wreck, it actually happens beyond the start-finish line. So I think most drivers are going to be okay with where they finished, but it is up front, those first 5 cars that were able to stay together.
Yeah, Bobby Bryant went to the inside, almost anticipating something was going to happen here by the looks of it. And actually, that's the 47 car going to the inside line. But you mentioned it, Evan. They're 4 5 wide. They're kind of sliding across the line. And after that, all heck breaks loose. Graham Bolin goes for a wild ride in the 18 car, up and over, and everybody else sliding afterwards. But for the most part, I don't want to call them pinballs, but that's pretty much what they were coming across the line. Look at all those cars going across, but they made it 100 laps.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead.
Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loba is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett Low. 4 wide at the stripe.
For Audie's win here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out?
Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
The Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada is the first track we visit for V8SCOPS 2020. In the real world, it's the home of the Canadian Grand Prix, and since 1978 has built a reputation as a difficult track that produces exciting racing. That's certainly true in the sim world as well. This place has become one of the best tracks to watch Australian touring cars on the iRacing esports network. Located in public parkland on a man-made island, the 14-turn track is temporary and publicly accessible for most of the year. It's a circuit comprised mainly of chicanes, which might not sound too fun on paper, but with close walls, long full throttle sections, and varying corner speeds, it ends up being a tight but fast and flowing ride. That said, if you think this circuit is cramped, just be grateful you're not driving on the original layout from 1978. You had a few more turns to contend with back then. The drivers will want to watch out in the first half of lap 1. A full field of cars going through the narrow canyon from turns 2 to 6 can be a recipe for disaster if you don't take care. We've seen plenty of pile-ups here in the past. Turns 5 and 6 are crucial. The cars that usually race here can take the right-hand sweeper flat out, no problem, but these cars need a light balancing of the throttle to keep the weight on the fronts so you can get over to driver's right for turn 6. If you're battling and you keep the throttle in just a little bit more, you end up in prime position for a defense or a pass. The exit of this chicane and the one after it have exits that open up, and you have walls greeting you in both cases if you make a mistake. 650 horsepower through a locked differential doesn't like accelerating through a curve, generally, so a mixture of caution and confidence is needed when putting the right foot down. Meanwhile, down at the hairpin, we find the most obvious overtaking opportunity on the circuit. A curving run-up into heavy braking. I'd say most drivers would use first gear here, and then a nice wide exit to maximize your run onto the casino straight. At the other end of this straight, we come to the most extreme examples of Montreal's difficulty. First up, the pit entry. It's a fast one, on the racing line, that requires you to brake later than you would if you were taking the last chicane normally. If you've got no one in front of you, happy days, but if drivers are in a pack when the pit window opens, there's high potential for a fender bender if they don't keep their eyes open. Then there's the chicane itself. This track has big curves on many of its turns, and using them to maintain momentum is key to lap time, especially in these heavy beasts. But iRacing's automated penalty system is in full effect here, so if you make even the slightest mistake, if you push slightly too far, you'll be hit with a brutal slowdown. Even the best drivers fall victim to this, so it's very much a risk versus reward lap around this track. Who's going to fall prey to Montreal's foibles? Who will come out on top? Find out this weekend as we get rolling on the biggest V8SCOPS season yet.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Virtual Racing School V8SCOPS 2020 season, and we are here at Montreal at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve as we take a look at the two Ezy Finance Montreal 250, which will look to get itself underway very, very soon when it comes to action. We're currently in practice at the moment. There is 20 minutes of it, 8 of which have already transpired, which means that there will be another 11.5 minutes to go because there's an extra 30 seconds that we can tack onto that. It's Jake Sperry, it's Reese Gardner, it's Jake Kennedy on the cameras, it's SimSpeed TV on the iRacing Esports Network. It is Roll Tide. Everybody understands that it is exactly as it was, as it will be. This is where you start to try and work out what have you got, what have your rivals got, where are you going to find the next pace, the next development of your championship season. It starts here, and you've got to make sure that it works here, Reese. If you get off to a poor start, we've seen it time and time again with this series, it takes miracles to come back and win a championship.
Indeed it does. This is one of the most competitive sim racing leagues out there, and one bad result can certainly put you in the running out of the title fight. But drivers like Ethan Greg Galt are certainly going to be looking on this with some optimism, because Ethan Greg Galt currently topping the practice timesheets. Harley Haber and Glenn Postlethwaite are your top 3 at the moment, running mid to high 34s up the top, so it's a consistent pace with pre-qualifying, especially considering that they may be doing race runs.
Yes, and that's going to be crucial as well. You don't quite know what everyone's doing in practice. They know they've got 20 minutes qualifying, open season qualifying. Some would say an open session is going to be important for them, but they know that they've got to be pretty much on it from the moment they put their boot down. You've got to talk about how good pre-qualification was, though. There are some drivers that you'd call pre-qualification specialists out on track. There's one driver I definitely got my eye out on who is that pre-quali specialist. That is John Emerson in the 013. Currently a little ways down in terms of practice times at the moment, but he has always seemed to have this problem, Reese, of turning Thursday pace into Sunday pace. What's the difference between having 18 hours to set a magical time compared to having 20 minutes to go out there and set the time you want?
Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot more pressure on you to start with. Potentially differing track conditions as well. We have some dynamic weather on for these sessions, but the weather should be fixed in pre-qualifying, so the drivers will have to contend with slightly differing conditions out on track in this qualifying session. A cloud might come over the circuit, block the UV light coming down and heating up the tarmac. Also got to remember, as the session goes on, there's going to be more and more rubber laid down, which can be a problem if the track is too hot. It can get a bit slick, it can get a lot less grip, so despite there being more rubber on the track, your times actually end up being slower. In terms of temperature, we've got a 38 degrees Celsius track, so it is on the verge of getting hot.
It is, and what's crucial as well is that it's partly cloudy, which tells you how things are going. If you say for Andrew Dyson, who does get his magic ticket, does book his place into this race, he's out there on track right now, you have to remember, he's coming from a track state which was 24 degrees in Super Split 2. He's got to now adjust to a 14-degree increase in that temperature, and that's going to be one of the toughest things, I think, that happens when you go from Super Split 2 over to the Ezy Finance Montreal 250. It also does mean that he has the longest night of anybody else tonight, because he'll be racing the most laps without a shadow of a doubt when it comes to this series. So it's going to be tough running for a lot of drivers. They've got to get it right straight and away when it comes to how this track is going to be run. I think these drivers know and understand every position here matters so much more than they think it does.
Yeah, and we went over that in Split 2 in our preps for that one. A very narrow circuit, Montreal, especially in the first sector. You want to keep it nice and careful on the opening lap. We don't want another repeat of what happened on lap 1 in Super Split 2, but I'd say the chances of that happening are still pretty high. Track position is going to be absolutely everything, especially when the pit window comes around.
I have to say, look out for the driver who has just gone top of the timing stands. His name is Danny Davison. And if you don't know Danny, well, Danny, don't you know, 075 has been a powder keg of entertainment for what has been the Exto Gaming team, their marquee driver. And if you talked about him 12 months ago, you wouldn't have known how good he was. You talk about him now, he is lighting up these styles of vehicles, these Australian touring cars, and he is absolutely masterminding himself through in that Ford Mustang. He knows what he wants to do. He wants to go out there and challenge the best, and he's getting himself up there. James Scott moves to 4th position. This is going to be a new generation making a fantastic push up forward.
Absolutely is. Danny Davison has been around for quite a few years in iRacing, but only just started making proper moves into V8SCOPS and some good form, getting himself out there in the first race of this new season. Ethan Griggault and James Scott at ERT, James Scott being one of that new generation you allude to. ERT gone under yet another change for this year because their former star driver, reigning champ Jared Filsell, is no longer a part of the team. So Ethan Griggault has got something to prove here.
Yep, and some may argue that it was his man to take up 2 years ago. Filsell came over to the team, and this year he gets that chance to go out there and prove exactly what he is capable of doing. If anything, it's his race at the moment to lose, some would say. But right now you have to look at drivers, all of them try and put these times in practice and try and get themselves going. They don't have to be the quickest of the lot. Someone I am surprised with who's a little bit down the order, not getting to grips with the car, Brett Loxton. Remember, 1 year ago here, Reese, he was on the front row of this grid. He got a P2 finish out of everything, did Brett Loxton. This year, looks like he's struggling a little bit. He's already 1.1 off of the pace.
Yeah, well, Loxton, we know that he has excellent form here at Montreal. Of course, he has got the results to back him up, but yeah, I was expecting him to be a bit further up. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes as James Scott goes P1. From my conversations with Brett Loxton, he says that so many drivers are basically equal on race pace, so qual times aren't the whole picture anymore, is what he's saying. So I guess maybe look out for Brett Loxton when the green flag drops.
Well, this is where I start to query that, because if you look at how everything is run in terms of a race, you've got a track which is a street circuit, which we saw how overtaking was mainly done here today in Super Split 2 by the big incidents that happened around the track. Yes, you can have equal race pace to someone, but that will make your life so much more difficult, Reese, if you can't get qualifying done. That's why you're always told, get yourself up inside of the top 3 rows. That will make your life a whole lot easier. Anything from about 7th on back, and the race victory becomes even tougher to get right.
It certainly does. You're not wrong, but we got to remember the nature of the track, the nature of the strategy as well. We saw how many drivers fell victim to the slowdowns in Split 2. I would expect there's going to be a few more in Split 1. These guys are the top, the main game of Scops, but they are still human at the end of the day. I remember Josh Rogers a couple of years ago notoriously getting a bunch of slowdowns here at Montreal and missing out on what could have been a very strong race victory. So I think keeping it on the black stuff is the main order of the day. Keep it on the black stuff and out of the bumpers of the guys in front of you.
That certainly does seem to be the strategy here today. Likes of Ian Ford will be key to keep an eye out on Brenton Hobson. You never quite know with Brenton Hobson where he's going to be in terms of performance. He's had a couple of mental health scares over the last couple of years. That's dented some of the performance, but he is one of the consistent drivers, consistently top 15. Very seldom you see him retiring a car from the race. If he finds himself a turn of pace to that 88, he'll be up there fighting for a top 5 come the end of the championship. Ian Ford, 2 top 5s in the end of the championship. 3rd place last year in the Scops season. He'll be very happy with that, but he wants to go better than 3rd. He wants to make sure that he is playing his cards absolutely perfectly and puts himself in the right place to go and make a title push.
Yeah, that's it. Ian Ford, an incredibly talented driver on his own, but being in Evolution Racing Team with the likes of Ethan Griggault, from the view of people on the outside looking in, he seems to assume a supporting role, but we know that that's not entirely the truth. Ian has his own desires, his own aspirations, and he's definitely got a lot of skill behind the wheel. Hopefully he improves in the qualifying session.
And you've also got to talk about drivers who maybe are a little bit shuffled out of position, but could have some good results over the year. Maybe not necessarily victories or top 5s, or sometimes maybe even top 10s, but drivers who are looking to be those who do make those big improvements through the field. You look at the likes of, say, Jamie Stovall or Ben Christensen. Those 2 drivers will want to try and get through. Scott Gamble, I think it's his first time up dancing in the main event for a very long time. So Scott Gamble will be someone to keep an eye out on. And of course, Ruben Goodall as well in the 20. Definitely someone I've got my eye on.
Yes, indeed. Ruben Goodall for Pursuit Sim Racing. He put in some good performances towards the tail end of last season, and back into Split 1 for the first round of the new season. He'll be happy with this one, and he's smack dab in what I'd say is the lower midfield. So in terms of practice times, he's got a bit of a ladder to climb, but he can count himself among the privileged few.
He certainly can count himself amongst the privileged few. He can be very happy that he is doing a good job, as Hobson has got himself a very good run for him. He's up there into 8th place. Jake Blackhall, this is someone we didn't talk about. Got 30 seconds before we go to qualifying. Jake Blackhall has suddenly found himself some very nice turns of pace at the moment in the CQR Club car, and he will want to try and make sure that he is bringing through a very strong result, and in fact he finds himself now up into 5th place. So definitely Jake Blackhall, someone to keep an eye out on, someone that you wouldn't normally say ding ding ding, keep an eye on me. Jake Blackhall says this 2020, well, I've got 2020 vision, it's my year.
Yes, indeed. And what about James Scott as well, currently sitting on the top of the practice timesheets with those new spec maps that iRacing has installed into the paints on full display there for that ERT machine. Very shiny car for James Scott. He won't get into the pits before the qualifying session rolls around, but now we're going to see the crush. We're going to see the big wave of drivers trying to be at the front of the train for qualifying. Here we go.
Here we go indeed. It's Josh Muggleton who will be at the front of the train, the 81. Always a driver that you've got to keep your eye out on. He can perform under the best conditions, and he has been up there like Taliancic, then Greg Galt third in the train, Hobson just behind that, then you got Postlethwaite and Jordan Ross and Jamie Stovold, all these drivers wanting to make sure that their times are the ones that they keep an eye out on. You've also got the Virgin Midas Sim Racing there, Harley Haber. Some people love him, some people absolutely despise him. It doesn't matter though. He is one of those talents which really does iconify himself, if that's even a word, with a generation race. He is one of the drivers that no matter where he is in a race, he is a factor.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think this round is going to be one of his best chances yet at a Scops win, because he's got really good pace in this car. The guys at Mach 1 have been working very hard on V8 setups over the summer break since the new cars came out. Harley Haber has definitely got that car sorted. That was quite the trip off track potentially.
I caught a look at Josh Muggleton going through the hairpin, and he had a full kicker sideways trying to get teat into the tyres.
Oh, goodness me, yeah. Well, any heat is good heat, I guess. You want to do some weaving and some warming up of your tyres on the outlap on this new tyre model. So Muggo comes out of the final chicane and begins his first lap. Let's have a look at an onboard here of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Well, here you go, small kick right into the left-right chicane. 1 and 2, 90 left, 180 right. You slow it right on down and look for an opportunity to get the power down as early as you possibly can. Muggleton has a good run as he's always turning right into turns 3 and 4. This chicane, this is the Hamilton-Vettel chicane after the 5-second penalty last year at the Formula 1. But then you have this long right, always makes life difficult. You look for the brakes, another chicane comes up. Left, right, a little bit more open this time. This one a little bit tougher to try and dive down the inside and put the power down. But then you look towards the third chicane. This is the mid part of the lap here, Reese.
It certainly is, and you've got to psych yourself up for 3 more big braking zones. Here's the first one, braking nice and late, using as much of the curb as possible, bouncing off it, using those white anti-cuts to your advantage. Smooth exit from this chicane. And we've got another runner bearing left down to the hairpin. As soon as you get through the left kink, you want to start braking because you're slowing right down for the slowest corner on the circuit, under 60 kilometers an hour at the apex, and then get the power down nice and smooth out of the hairpin. This is the Casino Straight. You've got a very gentle kink here. Run as close to the wall as you can and then switch over to driver's left for the chicane. You want to look out for the number 4 board under the bridge right there. And that is where Josh Muggleton gets on the brakes into third gear, smashes over those curbs. Nice run through the chicane. Let's see what the time is.
Well, this is going to be the first representative lap time. Some drivers who are outside of the start-finish line have had a lap in, 35.7. is the marker. Talianch goes quicker, but there is Ethan Griggolt. Breaks 35, 34.9. He does very well. Jordan Ross into second. John Emerson up into third position. Time starting to fly in. Haber only a 36.7, so that's the banker lap they looks to get in as drivers go through. Postlethwaite 5th, Blackwall 6th, Blacklock 7th. Now as they look to go through and try and make more times and more drivers having awkward things. Remember, no escape rule in full effect. They cannot take the easy road out. They have to drive it back to pit lane.
Yes, indeed. For anyone who is new to V8SCOPS, that is the rule. You have to bring the car back into the pits. You can't just pull over and escape back to the garage like you normally can. All part of trying to simulate a real-world series to the best ability that we have here in the sim world. What about Ian Ford? This is not going to be a quick lap from him, 38.7, so he's going to have another try at that.
He certainly is. Tyler Blackburn, good lap from him, goes 13th on a 36 flat, so he'll be happy with that at the moment. Ethan Griggolt has half a second at the moment. We look, though, towards Brenton Hobson, though, at the moment. Look to try and put some times on the board at this point in time. So he's got damage on the side of his car, so he's going to have to come in to pit lane and get that one sorted here. So he's not having the best of runs, so to speak, at the moment. So we'll see what he does on the brakes. He is going to finish the lap, though. That's going to be crucial in terms of how he runs it. Hit of the wall from Griggolt as he looks to get a second banker down in on his laps, and they are going quicker on these second laps because Taliancic moves up with a 34.8. So Michael Taliancic, Glenn Postlethwaite fastest, and Emerson goes fastest.
Wow, okay, times are absolutely rolling in here. The tyres are now at their absolute best. We're seeing the best times here. What about Sam Blacklock or Blake Purdy? Sam Blacklock in the pits. Let's have a look at Blake Purdy then. Currently sitting in 14th position. He's got a nice draft there from his pursuit teammate. What's this time going to be? A mid-35. That's good enough to put him up in 13th. These times are incredibly close. The top 5 all within 0.3 of a second.
Loxton and Burke go quicker. Burke up to second, Loxton to 4th. It's all changed. Griggolt had half a second's advantage on his opening lap. He's now back into 7th place here in qualifying. The top 7 split by 0.3 of a second right now. Ian Ford goes to 9th position in the number 15 machine. He'll be happy with that one, 35 flat. He's having a good run of things at the moment. Thomas Hinds has his lap done for the moment. They've got 20 minutes. They've got a lot of time to get things going, but that opening exchange is crucial, and I think you get things done here in qualifying, Reese, today in 2-lap stints. You get 2 laps under your belt, you come in for tyres, you then go out and get 2 more laps in under your stint, because that second lap takes a little while to get the tyres up to temperature. New tyre model version 7, that's the crucial fact.
That absolutely is. On previous models, the drivers were only able to get 1 quick lap in. Ethan Griggolt setting a 34.8 and improves to 6th place, but that's not quite enough for now. Definitely clear what the strategy is. It's going to be your second lap that is the fastest.
James Scott over the line, 34.3. Where did that come from? James Scott, a great Scot. He has got himself 2 and a bit tenths on pole.
How on earth did he do that? Eking out 2 tenths around a track like Montreal and a car like this and a field like this, something you got to look for. 35.2 meanwhile for Danny Davison. He moves up into 17th position with his first time on the board. But James Scott, my goodness, what a run.
Something Aurora Borealis, I think some would say. Ben Christensen finds improvements. He goes through 31st. Ian Ford at the moment, currently in 10th place, does not set a representative lap time with his time going through as he looks to get his out lap going. A couple of drivers have yet to set times. Carl Stokes has been suffering with technical issues. He's been struggling a lot. Someone else who's struggling a lot, Harley Haber, hasn't set a brilliant time at the moment, 36.7. He's down in 35th place. He's there with Sam Sutton. I'm surprised Sam Sutton is so far down the order. This is a new era, new car, and new people are coming up to the front of the field.
Yeah, we've got to remember that Sutton and Haber were higher up in terms of the practice times. They're just not comfortable yet, haven't gotten a run in. Hello, what?
Brad Ratu went straight on at turn 3, found the escape road, which you don't often do. And I think he got the grass on the brakes, slide. That is not a place you want to find yourself in, and he does a lovely 180 drift there, trying to get it back.
He certainly does, but not going to have his tyres in their optimum lifespan, I guess you could say. But still got half the session to go. These guys warming up their tyres on the run up to their laps. John Emerson looking to have another shot at pole here, and he has got James Scott right behind him.
You got to look at this field. Scott, Emerson, Burke, Postlethwaite, Loxton. Who'd have predicted that top 5 at the start of the season? Ross, Griggolt, Taliancic, Hobson, Ford, your top 10 at the moment, and it's all to play for in the second half of this one. It's 58 laps they'll be running. It's a 2-stop race. They will be under. They know that they can get it home around lap 28, but they know they've got to make 2 stops in order to make it work for them. So how are they going to get themselves going? Lap 38 even. I'm starting to lose my mind ever so slightly. But Sutton has found himself some improvements. He goes 17th fastest on a 35.2, 9/10 off of pole position. That's good. He needs to find himself a 10th. That will get him up 2 more positions. Sorry, a 100th will get him up 2 more positions. A whole 10 jumps him up into 14th. This is a very tough field. And you've got the likes of Zach Hanlon and Tom Freer. They're peppering just outside the top 10. They could make themselves a factor over this race.
They certainly could. The likes of Hanlon and Freer, they're drivers that you always see around about that midfield territory, pushing into the top 10. They got the skill, but especially in Hanlon's case, has just not had things fall his way more often than not. So they'll be looking to get themselves up a bit further in this session. Emerson, meanwhile, on the back straight, and I will correct myself from earlier, that's Josh Muggleton running behind him, not James Scott. Red car confused me for a second. So what will John Emerson do on this particular lap? It's looked like a nice, clean one. Not quite sure if it's the first or second one of this run, but it's looking like it's going to be still a high 34 on his first lap. That's pretty good pace there from Emerson.
Yep, and he knows that he's got to get it all nice and calm. Good driving from Hobson lets him have some room. Drivers need a couple of laps to get the tyres up to temps. Sam Blacklock, 35.3, finds improvement, goes to 21st position with his time. Can be very happy with that sort of lap going through from him, as times need to be found from a lot of drivers. Qualifying pace needs to be crucial as they go through.
There we go,
And there is qualifying pace. Harley Haber up into the second row for Mark 1 as he gets exactly what he was looking for in terms of time. It's a brilliant, brilliant field at the moment. Pole position currently, ERT. Second, Pursuit. Third, Mark 1. Fourth, One Performance, I believe it used to be. They got 5th at the moment, Synergy. 6th is Zuva Racing. 7th, then back to ERT. You got 6 different teams in the top 6.
Excellent stuff. This is what we want to see for the first round of the season. Some very competitive times and a very mixed field eventuating from this session. Only 8 minutes and 30 seconds to go. The drivers will only get 1, possibly 2 runs. Ethan Griggolt is one of the drivers who's going to start to feel the pressure soon. And this is going to be another potentially representative time, a 34.7 for him.
He jumps up to 6th place. He jumps up 2 positions. He gets past Jordan Ross. He gets past Brett Loxton. He'll be happy with it, but at the moment his qualifying is not working. He needs 1,000th to get past Glenn Postlethwaite at the moment, who did not find the improvement that he was looking for out on track. Josh Muggleton couldn't find it. He was slightly off, and someone who did find improvement was Jordan Ross, but he doesn't find position. 134.706, so he's just on the outside there, not getting exactly what he wanted. Blackhall crossed the line, 34.9. He moves up to 11th position, and in fact, I believe there's more movement going on, because the likes of Michael Taliancic in 9th position right now. Brenton Hobson rounding out the top 10 here as they go through. They know they've not got long. They know they've got to find and put their best foot forward. Remember when these cars made their debut at Road America? How it was a late time from Ethan Warren that put it on pole position? I think we could see something similar if someone can get anywhere near James Scott.
Yeah, if anyone can get near him. Scott's still out there circulating. Ross Rizzo not able to improve on his starting position. Sam Blacklock currently on a fast one as well. He'll want to break his Altus car inside the top 10.
Tom Freer moves to 10th position in the 946 Pursuit car, 134.9. The pace is there, and he'll be happy with that time, but there are going to be improvements
up and down the field. Look at drivers who are in and around that top 20. You've got Scott Gamble, 23rd, Danny Davison, 22nd, Hinsey is there in 20th. Greg Galt finds improvement, goes to 5th at the moment. Wayne Burke now up into 2nd position, 34.637, 3,000th clear of John Emerson. Great time from Wayne Burke, has 1 race win to his name in Scops. Now this becomes a case of get those times in. They know they're trying to look for them. Some drivers will look for some fresh tyres, look some laps. Spinner down at Lapangle though, that's Ross Rizzo, and that is the Trick Sim Sport car the Trick Sim Sports car running into issues right now. Slight name brand change there for Trick.
Yeah, ever so slight, but Ross Rizzo gets it going once again. He's one of the drivers that you always got to watch out for in V8 Scops. Hopefully he gets a better time in before the session. Hasn't got much time left, though. What about Daniel Ackland? He's going to be setting a 35.2.
Oh, Danny Davison.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Davison's just gone to 8. So some brilliant times. We saw how Dan Ackland actually was up in 4th position in pre-qualifying. He had a great pre-qualifying. It seems that his quali pace isn't there. He's 6/10 off a 2nd position. He's down in 23rd here. Reese, what does he need to find?
Oh, God, he needs to find a miracle, I reckon. Not the wall. Definitely not the wall. But it just goes to show how much difference conditions in a race session can actually make. What about Sam Sutton? A 35.2 for him. That is no improvement. He's still outside the top 20. Things are really starting to get interesting now. What about Benjamin Smith? Is he going to put in a good time on this one? A 35.3 for him.
Improves, but no positions gained on a 35.3. So Ben Smith will be very, very not best pleased with that. He'll need to find a little bit more if he wants to go just a little bit quicker. You look at drivers who are outside the top 15. Some good times have come in. Brett Cananzi's up there in 14th position. He's had a renaissance, so to speak, with his driving the 666 car, because 3 times of 6 makes it the devil. He finds himself in 14th. Got Ian Ford just behind, number 15, in position 15 at the moment. This is not where Ian Ford wanted to be to start the season. 15th place was not on his agenda to speak of at all. Like to Sam Blacklock at the moment in 16th place for the Logitech G Altus Esports team. They are down with a 35 flat. They're 4/10 off of what's needed at the moment. Is there improvement from Sam Blacklock? 44.1, that was an outlap. He'll go on to a flyer this time by.
Yeah, and look at Harley Haber here, just coming out of the final chicane. Is this going to be a quicker time from him? No, it's not.
Yet.
It's a 35.5. No. Not yet.
I saw Ian Ford go quicker, though. He went up to 6th place, so he found the time. 34.692. That's a great lap time from him at the moment. So Ian Ford up to 6th from 15th. Hobson back in 8th for the 88 team. Danny Davison now top 10. Sam Sutton finds improvement, goes to 14th place. So he's got exactly what he wants at the moment. More positions. 3.5 minutes left, though, in qualifying. They've got themselves the best part of 3 laps to get it gone. Once they cross the start-finish line, they are allowed to complete their laps. Ethan Grigalt is there in 5th place at the moment and hasn't found much more than that. He's aggressive over the curves as he looks to try and make that drive. It's an outlap, so he'll go on to a flyer this time by.
Oh, no, he won't. He got a slowdown out of that. That's completely ruined his run there. So Ethan Grigalt's going to have to come round again and have one more lob at it.
That's going to hurt, and that's going to hurt a lot. There goes Damien Johnstone over the line, 35.1, jumps to 21st position. So that tells you all you need to know. There is half a second right now, splitting 2nd position from 22nd position. That's good. Andrew Dyson now we keep an eye out on at the moment. He could find himself some improvements down in 28th position. Our Super Split 2 winner. He'll make his way to the final chicane as he will look to find some improvements. 2 tyres up. Big slide. And that's going to cost him a little bit of time through that section. You can't afford to be too aggressive through the final chicane. Over the line he goes. 36.5. No improvement.
Yeah, no improvement on that occasion, but he's got one more chance pretty much.
Haber!
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, Haber! And
he's got his troubles.
Crashing at turn 1 for his troubles indeed. So
yeah,
it looks like
Job Stewart.
Yeah, and Job Stewart escaped back to the garage. He won't take any further part in this session. Haber, he's not going to have enough time to go around and do another lap, is he?
Someone's got to ping Job Stewart. The stewards have got to keep an eye out on him because he's going to go back out again, and that's going to be a penalty. if he sets some lap time. So Job Stewart, you're not going to get away with that, buddy. We caught an eye on that. So he's got to be really, really careful on it. Harley Haber has got himself back going again. I don't think he's going to be best pleased with Job. They're going to turn one. He's cost him any opportunities then, surely, of making improvements out on track. We'll keep an eye on that as things look to proceed. But we're down to the last minute and a half here, Reese. This is crunch time.
It absolutely is. Drivers will be scrambling to get their final times on the screen. Haber pulling right off the track. Yes, Glenn Postlethwaite to P3.
Big time from him, 34.5. The track's just there for drivers at the moment. If you're looking for it, if you're finding it, it's going to be good. Brenton Hobson right now needs to find some times. He's in 8th place on the 34.7. There is time to go. 4 tenths to get to pole position. In fact, it's 3 tenths and 100th. He needs only to head through the right-left chicane as he goes through. Harley Haber will not set any more lap times. He will go only second at the moment. Here's the push to the line. He's got one more after this. 34.7 he's done. This won't count. He'll go for one more lap. He had an off-track incident point somewhere on that lap. Hinsey comes across the line. Doesn't get what he wants. Blacklock at the moment in 18th. As there goes Jordan Ross to 4th position. He's a Bathurst winner here around this track. He knows exactly what he needs to do. Get the results that he needs around this place. He won't be too worried about it. Blackhall improves. He goes 14th at the moment. Ryan O'Sullivan not in a good position at the moment. He's last at the moment in 38th overall. Danny Davison currently in 10th. Tom Freer doesn't find improvement. Here comes Ethan Grigalt. His lap won't be brilliant. He will have one more opportunity to get it going. No, he won't. Time is going to expire. He's the first one who will set a lap time then as he crosses the start-finish line in just a moment's time. I don't think this is going to be representative here from Ethan as he crosses over. 34.7. No, he was slower. Not good enough, my friend. 7th only. John Stone won't improve. What about Adam Briggs, though, down in 24th position? He could find a little bit more if he so needs it. Crossing the line, 35 flat. He does. He goes to 18th. Good lap time then from him as he goes through. Michael Taliancic does not improve. He starts from 12th only at best. Gamble won't get better. Sam Blacklock, though, 19th position at the moment on a 35 flat. Half a second gets him to 3rd through the right-left chicane, looking to put the power down as he looks to attack for the line. Straight lining as good as he can. What can Altus do in terms of their team? It's a 34.8. That's a great time, actually. It puts him 13th, 7th row for him at the moment. Across the line comes Ben Christensen then, looking to improve for the ANS car. No improvement as he will not get himself anything that he wants. Here comes Blake Purdy. Young Blake Purdy made his debut here 1 year ago. Looks to try and get across the line. What a time! 15th, 134.9. Blake Purdy, you've got to be proud of that. Muggleton goes inside the top 10 as he gets himself good improvements. Kyle Stokes, nothing that he needs. Here comes Ian Ford, though, looking to make a run. He needs something. He wants to prove that he's not a supporting cast character. He's going to make a charge to the line. Here comes Ian Ford, 134.582, puts him on the 2nd row and says, I am right there. I am ready to try and get things going. Ross Rizzo crosses the line, does not improve in terms of time. Ruben Goodall crosses the line and does not find improvements on time either. That is pretty much everyone. This is how the grid is going to stack. So it will be James Scott on pole position, 134.394, 2 thousandths clear of Harley Haber in 2nd position. Ian Ford will start from 3rd with Glenn Postlethwaite alongside Jordan Ross. Will go from 5th with Wayne Burke in 6th place. John Emerson will go from 7th. Good qualifying from him. Ethan Grigalt starts in 8th place. That's a poor qualifying by him. Brenton Hobson starts in 9th. Josh Muggleton rounds to the top 10.
Danny Davison and Brett Loxton are sharing row 6, 11th and 12th there. Michael Taliancic starting in lucky 13th. Sam Blacklock just pipped there. He'll start 14th. Daniel Ackland and Tom Freer on row 8. Blake Purdy managing to make it 17th in the end alongside Jake Blackhall. Rounding out the top 20, we got Sam Sutton and Brett Cananzi, who I would have expected to be a bit further up.
Well, 21st will be Damien Johnstone, 2 little ducks for Adam Briggs in 22nd. Zach Hanlon 23rd. Starting from pit lane after the incident with Harley Haber will be Job Stewart. Ross Rizzo starts 25th. Michael Cracknell 26th. Then you got Tyler Blackburn, Thomas Hinds, Bradley Ratu in 29th, and Scott Gamble starts from 30th.
In 31st place, we got Split 2 winner Andrew Dyson. He's joined by Benjamin Smith on row 16. Carl Stokes and Ben Christensen, 33rd and 34th. Sammy Stovald and Ruben Goodall just behind them. Justin Wallace and Ryan O'Sullivan looking to see how those guys manage to make it through the potential first lap carnage. That's our 38 car field for this one, Sperry. One final look at the track conditions. It's 33 degrees Celsius, so a bit cooler than qualifying.
It's only 19 degrees ambient at the moment. Wind 6Ks coming in from the northwest with a 103 rising humidity at 42% here today. 2 pit stops required here for these drivers. They know what they need to do. They know what they're capable of doing. ERT 1 and 3, but you got to keep an eye out on all those drivers behind. In fact, they are 1, 3, and 5 at the moment, but everybody is going to be in position. Glenn Postlethwaite wants to kick off his season right. Harley Haber has relished this opportunity to be up near the front. He wants to prove why he is one of the best in the world when it comes to this style of vehicle. John Emerson, a blast from the past. He wants in and never count out Ethan Griggold. He can be in the mix at any racetrack in the world. He has been second in the championship the last 2 years, but do not count your chickens here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a SimSpeed TV presentation on the iRacing Esports Network. 2 minutes of gridding procedure. It's going to finish up on the clock. The lights will start to light up on the iRacing gantry. And this, your 2 Ezy Finance Montreal 250 starts right now. And it's a good start then from Harley Haber. He gets much better than James Scott. They'll challenge into turn 1. Mark 1 versus ERT. They cross the beams behind. Haber trying to go around the outside. No room at the end. Well blocked. And off into the grass is one of the pursuit cars. Almost contact there with Jordan Ross. And that's not going to be ideal for John Emerson as they go through. And they fan out. More contact. Ethan Griggold going through. Longston, no room. Ryan Hunter, Ray-like, goes the Altus car straight through. What a start for the Altus car.
Goodness me, that's excellent stuff there from Sam Blacklock, and he is still looking like he wants to advance. On the back of Jordan Ross now coming into 5 and 6.
Well, it just shows you how good a good start is. Oh, and almost their contact. Wayne Burke, Josh Muggleton going through. It's all clear, though, for James Scott at the front. Scott, Haber, Postlethwaite, and Ford has lost a position then off the start. He's backwards into 4th position. Piccadilly Circus, though, at the back. Noah's up. 2 wide, 4 deep. So go through around Brad Ratu and co. Adam Briggs trying to have this fight. John Emerson is all the way back in there as well as they go to the 3rd chicane. Sort yourself out, boys. It's going to be a long 58 laps from here as they go through this lovely section. Almost a bit of contact there, and that was going to be Briggs trying to deal with Damien Johnstone here as they go through. Hairpin time, first time they go through. Who's going to make a mistake? And more looks then down the inside. And Jordan Ross loses another position to Sam Blacklock. Remember, he started 14th on the grid here. He's up to probably 6th. He's made 8 places in the opening lap alone.
Yeah, that's a great run there from Sam Blacklock. It looks like he's probably wanting to advance even further still. So race pace for the Altus cars, probably one to look out for. Up the front, meanwhile, James Scott has managed to eke out just under half a second gap here from Harley Haber.
And Danny Davison almost clips the wall of champions. He opens it up, though, to Brett Loxton, who will go side by side towards turn number 1. Zuva versus Exto Gaming. They go through. No, he's lost it. Too far on the brakes for Danny Davison. And he's going to go straight on. They avoid him. And this is going to be a tough rejoin. Bang! No. Taliancic into the back of Brett Loxton, and they all keep it together somehow. Taliancic holding off the likes of Sam Sutton. Blake Purdy's going to dive down the inside of Sam, and a little bit of contact between those 2 drivers. More on the exit. Wall there for Purdy. More contact. Somehow able to survive as they go through. That was a disaster written on a last will.
Yeah, my goodness, that was incredible stuff there, but I'm glad that everyone got through mostly cleanly. Oh my goodness, the Zuva Racing guys not having a great time back there. That was Brett Loxton still having some issues getting himself back up to a good momentum, but a lot of side-by-side running. I'm looking at 19th, sorry, not 19th. John Emerson is right at the front of this huge pack.
And then Wayne Burke's going to come down the inside as well, down at the hairpin, get past Josh Muggleton as he got it all sorted. No, side by side, door to door stuff as they go through the wing mirrors. must have clipped as they went through that section. They'll still fight all the way. Sam Blacklock's up 7 places off the start, but now look at this. Wayne Burke under pressure here, has to defend on that inside then against Josh Muggleton, and he's got the move sorted down at the chicane. And now look at the fiery train that's behind. Blacklock and Ross and Greg Galt in there as well. Ian Ford behind that. Tom Freer in the mix as well in the next train that goes through. So now you start thinking about, what do you do? Top 2, they've checked at this moment. They've checked out at the moment as I fail my Pittsburgh accent. James Scott, Harley Haber, 1 and 2. They will try and run for the win. They've got 2 seconds on Glenn Postlethwaite.
Yeah, and Harley's actually keeping the gap nice and stable to Scott. He's kept up with him very nicely in these opening couple of laps. It's going to be between them for the lead for now. But back in the pack, we see these guys fighting. Ethan Greg Galt, bit of a late move there on his teammate. Oh, not his teammate, sorry, my apologies. Getting the colours mixed up again. Oh, yes, true. Okay, I did get it right. Excellent. But that was quite a late move there from Ethan Greg Galt. He's looking to try and make his way up. Sam Blacklock, meanwhile, on the back of Josh Muggleton here. Muggo has lost a bit of time to Wayne Burke over the last lap, and Blacklock is looking hungry.
He is, and he's looking for the inside potentially here. Sam Blacklock with a point to prove. Down the inside, he's got it nicely checked up. Power on the exit, there's none of it. Loads of oversteer torque there for Josh Muggleton as he tries to go through, and again he tries to pinch on a driver on his right-hand side, and again, it's not going to work for him. He's got to get into line quickly, though. Here comes Ethan Greg Galt. He'll want to take the double toe, double draft to the inside. He wants to get that move. Muggleton thought about coming back at it, but he's not going to get it, or is he going to just tap on the brakes? He is. Straight on. Bang! Into the wall. Wall of Champions for 2 for 1.
No, that was no good there. Muggo, unfortunately, getting into the back of Blacklock and unsettling him on the entry there. Redressed, good to see. They keep on racing, but they both got a fair amount of damage now. And oh my goodness, a car going very fast into turn 1. That was Tom Freer. He's recovering, but modem simulation replay of what just happened.
Yeah, it was very, very dangerous into that final chicane. It happened so quickly. You got a big static cam of it up over the curb. No way of gathering that back for the Mustang against the Holden. And they can see just how that one ends up in disaster. It's not good at all. And Ackland as well, running 2 issues. Josh Muggleton having a huge issue, though, at the moment. Is he trying to redress all the positions that he thought he'd lost, or has he got a massive slow-down penalty? You can see he's pulled right off to the side, as he may have some damage. Ackland and Freer going at it, but you can see at the moment, you can see behind him, Kananzi trying to get through, and it is very much disaster central right behind as they go through. But now you look at this, it's Blackwall and Ratu going at it into the chicane. Not quite there at the moment. They will try and deal with their contingency plans.
Yeah, we just saw how bad the damage is on Josh Muggleton's car. 45 degrees right hand down, so he got an awful lot of damage from that incident.
Acting straight on.
He's gone so slow. Yep.
Dan Ackland's gone straight on down at the hairpin. He will get a better run off the exit, but what he has done is he sacrificed 2 positions. Both Kananzi and Emerson have found a way through, and now Tom Freer, who made a mistake into turn 1 this lap, he'll want to get back through quickly, get onto the back of his teammate, someone that he knew very well from Team Hyperdrive, John Emerson, and get the moves done. Can't get it done. Into the right-left chicane here on Danny Ackland as they go on through. Now getting a power down. Well, you're not if you're John Emerson. Here comes Danny Ackland's chance here as he looks to try and go for this battle. He'll look for the inside, but he's got no power. Look at Tom Freer go. They could make it 3 wide. He has to back out of it. Ackland's going to dive down inside. This is touring car racing at its finest here. And around the outside, he'll try and make it. And look how much they stack up. It's a train of 8.
It's an excellent train here at the moment. Emerson manages to keep the position there, but Tom Freer having some issues there behind Daniel Ackland. A very big train. Behind these guys is Damian Johnstone, Jake Blackhall, Brad Ratu, Danny Davison, Ruben Goodall, Michael Cracknell, Carl Stokes, Thomas Hinz battling with Brett Loxton, and it just keeps going.
It certainly does. That just shows you how good the field is. Andrew Dyson, they're looking to try and get versus Purdy as well, but right now, Wayne Burke is closing down Glenn Postlethwaite. Took 0.6 of a second out of him that last time by.
That's some crazy pace there from Burke. Yeah, 35-1 versus 35-7 for Postlethwaite. Excellent run there. Those guys will be battling soon. But Brenton Hobson, meanwhile, looking at the back of Blake Purdy here, looking to break back into the top 10, both of these guys.
Well, Blake Purdy at the moment having a good run of things. Started off in 17th, up to 11th place. Talyancic just in front of that. as well in terms of the battles, talking about your big moves and shakers. Sam Sutton, who's talked nothing of him over this race. He's already up 10 places, though. He's had a monster of a start, and he'll be very, very happy with the teamwork that he's been putting in at One Performance Racing. He has been absolutely flying as he's been going on through, and he'll be very happy with the way that he's running his race at the moment. But through turns 4, turns 5, nothing quite doing at the moment then for those in that train, ever so slightly just behind. This is where you settle down into the rhythm of the race. Lap 6 of 58, there's a long way to go.
Yeah, definitely a long way to go, and it's a good time to touch on strategy as well. It's an 80% fuel tank restriction for this race, so the drivers only have 89 litres to work with. And it's going to take about 215, 220 litres to go the full race distance. The earliest you can pit and get home is 24 to go, so lap 28.
Yeah, 24 to go. We'll look to try and be good here as drivers will look to try and get through, as lap 28 is actually 30 to go in terms of maths. We never get maths right. That's the one thing we're not good at. One thing we do know is Wayne Burke's looking for a move on Glenn Postlethwaite. He looks to try and get himself down the side, and he can't quite get it going. Side by side, though, behind, as they all look to try and get going through. It's going to be Cracknell trying to find a way through on Ruben Goodall. This is right down the order. This is the 21st positions they go on through, as they look to try and find everything going to get going through. Not quite to get there. Ruben Goodall, I think, has just been given a drive-through penalty by race control. He dives straight down onto pit road.
Yeah, it's a very early go into the lane there for Goodall. We'll have to wait and see what the cause of that was, but the battle for third is one that I'm looking at because it's getting ever closer. Glenn Postlethwaite is really getting pressured here by Wayne Burke, confirming that it is a drive-through penalty for Ruben Goodall.
Yep, and Wayne Burke knows he's got to get going through. That was the incident with Danny Davison earlier on in this race, but at the front of the field, James Scott has finally got his 1 second that he's been looking for. Harley Haber, poor lap that last time by, lost 4/10, and suddenly now there's a bit of breathing room for James Scott. Long way to go yet, but 1 second around here means a lot. It means that you're not being closed down on that big, long straight, which is very much the great equalizer when it comes to racing like this, as all these drivers now think about, okay, settle down, get ourselves in some nice, clean, consistent laps. We'll do very, very nicely. If you talk about nicely, 5-car train at the moment. Sam Blacklock, after a fantastic start through the field, the pace has simply evaporated. Almost everyone behind him is quicker.
Yeah, it looks like only really usable in the first few laps of that phase of tyres. Look at the run. A fair bit of damage for Sam Blacklock as well, remember, from that earlier incident. That's Sutton through quite easily. Big straight line advantage for cars that aren't dinged up.
Well, Sutton got through, and so did Brenton Hobson behind, as Purdy had to slow down. Here comes Taliancic trying to look for every which way to make a move, and he can't quite get what he was looking for into turn 1, not into turn 2 either. So Taliancic on the back now thinks, I'm going to be next then, to try and make myself an overtake, and at the moment it's just not quite happening as it wants to right now. So they've got to keep that in mind as they look to try and continue on their races and try and get as much pace as they possibly can. Bit of cloud cover as well coming over the circuit. That's going to help in terms of pace for quite a few drivers as they all look to try and battle. Talk about, though, lower down in the order right now. Dyson's got a trade. He's got O'Sullivan, Stovall, and Brett Loxton, who, remember, started 12th, is back in 28th position. It's not been a good Brett Loxton start as he looks to try and get going through. Jamie Stovall will be a tough cookie to crack, though.
Yeah, certainly will. Jamie, one of the drivers that we saw up there on the timesheets in practice, so he's got some solid pace behind him in that pursuit car, but still very close between himself and Loxton. Loxton was slightly slower on the last lap, but only by a tenth. A well-placed draft, a well-placed move up the inside at the final chicane should seal that, but I think both of these guys were looking for something better by this point in the race.
Tom Frears got the move done now on Dan Ackland. He got it done at Lepangle, and now Ackland's under pressure here. Damien Johnstone for the Gone Rogue Motorsports team. Looking to try and make that push. Not close enough. On the brakes into the right-left chicane. So at the final chicane, not quite working. Black all over the curb behind in the CQR car. And there's a slowdown for Damien Johnstone. And it's a big one as well. It's 3.5 seconds. it's going to be the huge checkup on the brakes.
Oh, my goodness. That is his race dead for now. A safety car could potentially get these guys back on an even footing, but with how clean this race has been so far, I don't know exactly what the chances are. I've been quite impressed, actually, with how the field managed to sort themselves. It was a lot better than Split 2, as Hinsey is... Oh, yeah. Ackland around at the
on
turn
his own.
3 and 4 chicane.
Yeah, just on the grass, so easy to do. Tyre on the grass, straight on he went. And he very much has to wait for the whole train to go on through as he now finds himself in a world of hurt. Side by side, Justin Wallace in front of him. It's just gone through on Scotty Gamble. So that's a change of position that's just gone on. So they'll be nicely battling with that. But Danny Ackland, it's not gone right for him.
No, it's the same deal as we've seen many times, just catching a wheel on the outside. He is on board with Thomas Hins and Michael Cracknell just tapping on the brakes there. I think that might have been an intentional let-through there.
Well, you wouldn't want to risk it, especially when yellow flags would have been waving down at that section for a stopped vehicle. It would have always been very, very tough. Burke still on the back, though, of one driver, being Glenn Postlethwaite here for third. They're already 7 seconds off of James Scott, your race leader at the moment, who now has a 2-second advantage over Harley Haber now. All of a sudden, Ethan Grigalt, currently in 5th place at the moment, is trying to chase this down, but is even in terms of time. Remember, Ethan Grigalt still not out of the reaches for a podium. He is 2.2 seconds off of that 3rd place. And ERT are strategy masters with one Mr. Dean Thrower.
Yeah, they certainly are, but ERT have always been on game in terms of strategy. They work very hard to sort out every possible opportunity they can over the course of a race like this. So Ethan Grigalt and James Scott, they'll be looking to jig the numbers a little bit. James Scott's certainly in the hot seat at the moment with a gap like that.
Well, I have to correct myself and say that Dean Thrower also just left the team. So that was something I wasn't aware of. And, well, we wish him the best in his future endeavours. But you now start thinking about this mid part of the race here. Lap 10 was just hit now. And looking towards lap 11 side by side. As that is going to be Kyle Stokes and Michael Cracknell going at it together. Now, as Kyle Stokes just made the move into the 3rd chicane, you rarely see that one done. And he's managed to get it sorted.
Yeah, that's very good there to see that happening. It's a difficult place on the circuit. Oh, what's going on now?
Yeah, just behind that, I believe that was Ryan O'Sullivan getting it done. Andrew Dyson, who went straight on at Lepangle.
Oh, yeah. So Andrew Dyson not having a great run here at the moment, but everyone's still running very close together, even as we get into lap 11. Here is Dyson trying to make a move, but the car in front going defensive.
You're not going to find one like that very easily, that much you can say. Wayne Burke, though, keep an eye on him there in 4th position. He's looking to get a little bit rowdy, a little bit aggressive as he tries to make some moves. He wants to try and get something done, but at the moment, he simply cannot at this point in time. But look at how the ERT set has started to come back into its own. You're talking about the fastest drivers in the field. Greg Galt took a full 6/10 out of Glenn Postlethwaite that last time by. James Scott took 8/10 out of Harley Haber to break away a little bit more. So the times are now, it seems, working for the ERT drivers at this point in time. Evolution Racing Team in good positions, but here comes Wayne Burke. Maybe he dives down for it at the hairpin. He looks for the nose down on the inside. Pozzy's going to have to let him have it here, and Glenn Postlethwaite is going to have to give up the position. But look at that run off of the exit, though. That's some brilliant traction.
It certainly is, and that is the main advantage of the Lepangla hairpin. You are able to get a good run around the outside there if you can keep the momentum up, but Burke here still on the inside, and it's... Whoa, hold on a minute. It's a big match between them in the braking zone, and that is not going to work out well for either of them. That's going to give a big advantage here to Greg Galt. Burke has actually managed to get out of it pretty well, but Postlethwaite, big loss there.
Well, you have to say it's not as good as it could have been from Greg Galt. He had to slam the binders on, or he was going to run straight into the back of Glenn Postlethwaite. Too wide at the final chicane is a recipe for disaster. You do not want to be cooking up that one from the cookbook as you go on through, but it does mean Ethan Greg Galt now up into 4th position. All of a sudden, Glenn Postlethwaite falls back into 5th. at the moment as this race continues on the iRacing Esports Network, brought to you by SimSpeed TV as things continue on. Look at Sam Blacklock, though. He's still under pressure. 4-car train. It is still, and Kananzi joining the back of it with a very quick John Emerson on the rear too.
Yeah, this is quite the pack here at the moment, and Blacklock, you can sense ever more as a bit of a cork in the bottle here. He's not running slower than the guys behind him, but the likes of Michael Taliancic and Brenton Hobson, I think, having to back off a little bit as they get into a racing rhythm. Blake Purdy and Brett Kananzi, on the other hand, they managed to run faster times in the last lap than these three guys up ahead of them, so keep a lookout for them.
Well, it's going to be tough to make the move. Once you find yourself in a drafting train, you find it is very difficult to get it done. This train technically goes all the way back to Brad Ratu here in 17th position, because they are just about within 1 second of each other out on the road right now. So keep an eye on this as things look to continue in terms of the scraps that they have. Lap 13 of 58. They've got 46 laps to go here at Montreal. So they go through, and no further action for Postlethwaite and Wayne Burke. That's what we're hearing from the stewards. We've got one driver coming out of pit road. That's Scott Gamble, who's gone for the early stop. That'll put him a lap down. That'll put him in trouble if the safety car comes out.
Yeah, it certainly will. And by doing this, he's locked himself into a long fill for his second stop. Remember, in these 250-kilometer races, it is 2 mandatory pit stops. You have to come into the pits twice. However you do it is completely up to you. As long as you do that, you're home free. Have a look at Michael Taliancic, meanwhile. He is having to go a bit defensive here against Brenton Hobson, and Blake Purdy's got a very good view of it.
Obbo88 streaming live on Twitch TV at the moment. He'll be looking to try and give his fans the biggest love at the moment possible as he looks to try and make his race work. Blake Purdy, though, very young driver as Blake Purdy is one of that next generation, along with Jackson Susan Harlows and Cooper Websters, as a driver to keep an eye out on. This is a push that he's going to try and make it go through as we get a Motum simulation replay for you up on your screen. This is Ryan O'Sullivan from the Evolution Racing team right now, trying to get it done on the Eclipse driver in front, who actually just says, you know what, Ben Smith, I don't want to have a fight with you. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you pull me along. That is sometimes a strategy with slightly longer races, as Ethan Grigalt thinks about, podium.
Yes, indeed, and we do apologise. That is not the V8SCOPS race admin in position 3. It is indeed Wayne Burke. But a very good battle between these guys brewing. Burke losing quite a bit of time out of that as pit stops are now starting to come in. Tom Freer, one of the first for what we would say is a regular scheduled pit stop.
I'd say that's a great decision from Tom Freer right now, because he gets himself right out of the traffic that he'd be in with Blacklock and Emerson and everyone else. They're side by side down the front straight, by the way. And that's Ross Rizzo here going at it against Tyler Blackburn. And at the moment, it seems like you've got to get everything going well. Yep, good battling there. Blackburn has got it all nice and sorted, but now all of a sudden, here's Ben Christensen trying to get the ANS car past Ross Rizzo. That one not going to work, though. 5-car scrap right towards the rear of the field.
Yes, indeed, and we've got an Altus Esports car there as well, trying to battle with Christensen. Oh, yes, there goes Ethan, indeed. Wayne Burke going super wide at the hairpin, letting him go, and that is a position change. It is now ERT in 2 positions on the podium.
Well, that's what they were looking to do all of last season. It's what they did for the majority of last season, 1, 2, and 3. They were Phil Sell, Grigalt, and Ford, but for the moment, it is James Scott. Then it's Harley Haber. Then it is Ethan Grigalt. Any takers for any takers on the lane here on lap 14? None of the top 6 decide they want to go. They're going to play the conventional strategy card here over this race. They are going to decide, you know what? We'll go as long as we possibly can on this stint. If we see that a safety car's going to come out, we're going to dive in. Someone does decide to dive in. No surprises. It's Mr. Strategy, Hobbo88.
Yes, indeed. So everyone goes on by him as he goes through the pits. Meanwhile, Stovold having to fight here against Andrew Dyson. They were very close down the casino straight, but Stovold not getting the exit from the chicane exactly right. So our split 2 winner continuing to face enormous amounts of pressure here.
Well, now you've got to wonder here for Brenton Hobson, where is he going to come out in the grand scheme of things? He's going to have a long stop, and we expect him maybe to come out with Tom Freer very, very soon. He's coming through the final chicane at the moment, though, so we'll see how this one plays out for Hobbo 88. He looks to go through. Remember, he's going to have that advantage on coming off the lane slightly later because of where it goes. He's off his marks now, but it looks like Tom Freer may have just got the jump on the fresh tyres here as he goes straight through. Nothing you can do, Hobbo. Tom Freer's got your number.
Yeah, well, there we go. That's a good set of events to consider now. Tom Freer ahead of Brenton Hobson. Question is, when are they going to pit next? Is it going to be a long final stint, or are they going to try and split the race evenly? That's all up to the drivers at the moment.
Absolutely is. Michael Talianchi struggling, though. He's slow. Coming out of the exit of Lepangle, 2 positions gone, and it was a mistake. He was getting himself tight on that inside, tried to put the power down. He actually got tyres on the grass on the inside of the apex, and that's why he had to really struggle to get the power down. He keeps going, though, as they go through. Big train now. They've got Brad Ratsu on the back of this one as well. That won't be cause for comfort, I would have thought. No takers this time, though, from the leaders. Down onto the lane. Jordan Ross, though, looks to try and get himself into the mix.
Yes, so Jordan Ross, the first of the ERT machines to go for the pits, looking to get some of that damage fixed, obviously, and get himself on a nice trajectory towards the end of this one. Meanwhile, Wayne Burke and Ethan Griggault, well, Burke has not fallen off the back of Griggault like I thought he would. He's actually managing to keep a gap very nicely.
Certainly is, and Wayne Burke's done very, very well in terms of what he's been capable of doing over this race. Out comes Jordan Ross into clean air. No worries for him in terms of the way that he is going to be running his race. Now drivers are starting to think about, okay, position needs to come down in. We need to make a stop. We need to work out exactly how good this stop needs to be and how much position we're going to get. John Emerson, though, keep an eye out on him. He's got himself a few issues. I believe he's just fallen behind Brett Cananzi. Out on track, as you know, he's trying to get past Brett Cananzi. Out on track, Cananzi runs deep, and this could be a chance, John. No chance on the exit, though. I had to leave him a little bit of room there for Cananzi. They go through side by side, though, behind here, and the pack just behind, I believe that is going to be Cracknell, overtaken by Rhino Sullivan. Every time I look at Rhino Sullivan, he's going past someone. He's having a great race so far at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is. Michael Cracknell will have to stick behind him here and keep an eye on those brake lights. Yes, indeed.
So Michael Talianch decides time for him to come down onto lane. Sorry to steal his thunder there. Racers also Tom Hinz comes in. I believe it. Oh, that's Kyle Stokes as well. And that was a huge moment there for Rhino Sullivan. He's lucky he's still got a car.
Yeah, my goodness, that's quite the incident there. Lucky to get away with that one. Modem simulation replay then of what just happened. This is Benjamin Smith coming into the pits. We'll see what happened to him here. A little bit of a lock-up, fighting the rears on entry, but still managed to get it slowed down in time. These cars are very hard to break.
They are hard to break. It's very tough, and this is the Rhino Sullivan issue that he had in the Evolution Racing Team machine car. Gets on the brakes, over the first curb hard, second curb even harder, power on the exit. Oh, he got the grass on the exit, torque oversteer. It's so rare that you see him struggle in fourth gear, but that was very much exactly what happened at that point in time. They go through as Purdy and Blacklock now, they continue to have their scrap, which is 8th and 9th net on the road, as they look to continue to have their scrap. Race leader stays out one more lap here on lap 17. Harley Haber bites the bullet and dives down on the lane for Mark 1.
Here we go. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes, because oh yeah, he is too. So Wayne Burke taking that chance as well. And it's potentially an undercut situation for these guys. They're hoping to gain a little bit more time on those warmer tyres.
John Emerson, how close do you want to cut it on pit lane? Everyone's sliding to get on the lane. Emerson nearly did a Lee Ellis and took someone else out. That in front of him was Brett Cananzi, who very nearly had a boot full of Pursuit Sim Racing.
Yeah, modem simulation replay from Emerson's perspective here. You see Emerson braking nice and late for the pit lane, but that is the risk that I talked about in the fact file. Got to be careful of cars entering the chicane in front of you. They might not get out of the way in time.
No, they very much might not at all. Tom Freer is the fastest man on track at the moment. Jordan Ross in front trying to get up to speed as well, as drivers are looking to come in and come out of pit lane. We'll see where they come out. Here comes Wayne Burke, and this is going to be close here with Jordan Ross here. I reckon Jordan Ross might just pip it here if he's not too careful. They're going to be side by side coming out, but it will be superior, you'd feel. But cold tyres, they're going to be an issue. Jordan Ross is right on cue here. He's going to dive down to the inside, try and get this move sorted, and he's got it done. That would put Jordan Ross probably net third on the road right now.
Yeah, good run from Jordan Ross so far. His tyres are in their range now, and he's making proper use of them to get past Wayne Burke there. And this is what you have to consider as a driver. Once you come out of the pits and you're battling with drivers who pit after you, you have to make sure you get those moves done decisively. Greg Galt, meanwhile, coming in.
He had to come in. He has to cover off that move because Jordan Ross is just far too quick at the moment. Glenn Postlethwaite also decides to dive in for Synergy Sim Racing. Out has stayed your race leader, that being James Scott, now second on the road, has definitely changed. It's Ian Ford who finds himself in second. Sam Sutton up to third, side by side for net fourth on the road though. Here's Blake Purdy around the outside, trying to get it done on Sam Blacklock, who blocks him, and he gets attacked for his troubles. He left it a little late, and you know what, Blake? I would have given you that. I'd have said you had nowhere to go, buddy. Still going to fight it though to turn 3. Great scrap between these two, and Blake Purdy has got the move. Dunzo!
Excellent stuff, and that was started all the way down at turn 1. A little bit of unsettling, a slight bit of bishy-bashy, but not too much to warrant a penalty. That's touring car racing, and he's managed to get it done very nicely. But Blacklock, we know, is a driver who doesn't give up that easily. He's also got the car behind to contend with, a Brett Cananzi.
Greg Galt's come out just in front of Jordan Ross, a perfect stop from the Evolution Racing Team boys as they look to continue. 3-car train, Wayne Burke, Jordan Ross, and Ethan Greg Galt. They've got Job Stewart in there. He is fighting for position, but you have to remember as well, he's yet to make his stop. He is entitled to fight, and this will help Ethan Greg Galt in terms of his race.
Yes, it will. You've always got to consider traffic as well, as our race leader is now in the pits. James Scott has finally blinked. Let's see how this stop works out for him versus Harley Haber. I don't think there's going to be that much time gained from Haber pitting earlier, but we've seen weirder things in the past.
We have seen weirder things. We've seen stranger things as well, as James Scott will go to the final pit box as the pole sitter hands the lead over to his teammate Ian Ford, ever the respectable Ian Ford.
Look at this onboard.
Get through. And look at this as well. The onboard, Sam Sutton comes in, and this is fantastic that we're seeing. Look at Harley Haber. Look at what he's got to deal with right now. He's got drivers going too wide in front of him. That's not going to help. And he gets himself ahead of Ross Rizzo, who thinks better of it. Zach Hanlon now's got to be pretty much on notice through this final chicane. Harley's going to charge. And, well, when are you going to go, James Scott? When are you going to go, James Scott? Surely now you've got to go James Scott. And this is going to be an issue here. They're going to be really close. Haber's through down the inside. Haber, I think, is going to take the race lead here if he's not too careful here as they go through the right-hander. But James Scott, much better out of pit road, and they're back nose to tail.
All right, well, Haber won't be able to make the move down at the chicane. You'd have to be side by side on the pit exit for that to happen, but Scott will be in a little bit of trouble here. He'll be dealing with tyres that are still ice cold, still coming up to temperature. Haber's had a lap on these tyres already to get them up, so he's got a lot more grip at his disposal to start with.
He's had 2 laps, and look at this. He's using it around the outside of turn 6. Looks straight to the inside of turn 7. Hard defense then from James Scott. It's on. Gloves off. Knuckle dusters on. They go through contact between the pair of them. Straight on. You got to go, my friend. And that's going to be a slowdown penalty there as he goes through. And Harley's going to redress this one, and fair play to him then. I think the Harley of 2 years ago wouldn't have done such a thing, but now they start thinking about it. Here comes Hanlon. Now they cross the beam. Haber's going to go down the inside. He takes the race lead.
There we go. He held off just enough for the redress to be made and then made the move there. Haber obviously on the fresher tyres, but things got a little bit too dicey between himself and James Scott there. Scott, though, with the better pace on race conditions, once his tyres come up to temperature, you're going to see him really fighting with Haber, and he's already trying to have a couple of looks.
Lewis Hamilton called Spa-Francorchamps wants its Spygate back as they went on through, as they go on and deal with their battles. Zach Hanlon there as in comes Tyler Blackburn in to make a stop. Ethan Greg Galt will get past Ben Christensen surely here on the run to turn number 1. That would help him more than anybody else at the moment. They go through, and James Scott goes far too deep. through turn number 1. He's starting to get a little bit unsettled here after this race. He knows that he's pitted a little bit longer. He's got himself better strategy, and then he's got himself more issues. We get the onboard replay of what happened. That is an unforced error from James Scott, and that is inexperience at the front.
Just a bit too deep into turn 1, and
Harley's got a
not
redress.
to get into Haber. Oh, so obviously that the redress from before was not considered legitimate. So Haber slowing down again, and we got to remember Scott has lost a lot of time in those last couple of turns. Haber is going to lose a ton of time as well. Who does this put into contention?
And look at where Greg Gold is. He's right on the back, so Haber's got to be really open here to this opportunity. He's got to let Scott through and nobody else. He's got to be really, really careful. It's a 3-car scrap for the race lead. He's going to let him go. Ethan's going to try and dive to the inside here. And Harley, are you wise to it? Yes, that is a redress, and he's happy with that. And there comes Ethan Greg Gold now to try and come back through. This is fantastic stuff. And almost onto the grass it's forced. Ethan Greg Gold, he doesn't race too much with Harley Haber as they go now up towards the chicane. This is fantastic stuff. And there, defensive goes Haber, moves back into line. I'm not going to be challenged now. And they've got to get through more drivers again and again and again. Meanwhile, all of this puts everybody else back into perspective. Remember, Ian Ford's going for a big, long overcut with this strategy. This is going to really play into his hands.
Yeah, definitely is, especially considering that these guys are now having to contend with Ross Rizzo in the damaged car. That is for position, but Rizzo, obviously with too much damage to go at a reasonable pace, they've all managed to get by him nicely. Now they got Zachary Hanlon to contend with.
Yeah, and Hanlon is in no obligation to let this position go. Remember, he's trying to help out Sam Blacklock here in the 215 car, second position, yet to make a stop. So James Scott has got to make this move, and he's got to make it cleanly on the team that broke away from Evolution Racing Team, Logitech G, Altus Esports. So now down the inside, he's going to try and get this move done, and if he can get it done nicely, he's going to be in a really strong position for the remainder of this one. On the brakes he goes. Harley's going to try and follow it. No, that's not going to work.
No.
And into the back goes Ethan Green Gold. That was too opportunistic there, Harley. And he's really just thought about, I've got to stay in close contact. And that was really not great driving from Harley Haber, has to be said.
Yeah, I think the stewards are going to be taking a look at that because, you know, Haber obviously saw the gap. He was trying to go for it, but I don't think there was any way they were both going to get through on Hanlon there. Here's the replay. So Haber tries to go up the inside, but Hanlon obviously has the right to the corner, turns in anyway, and gets put into the tarmac runoff for his troubles. Here's the onboard.
Yeah, there's the onboard, and that's where it all goes wrong. Sees Hanlon's got to let one go. Harley's late, and he doesn't have any overlap when he gets to the apex, so only then Hanlon's going to look around and go, what was that just happened? I don't know quite what just happened there, so that's going to be interesting. Back live, though, we got some great battles lower down. Here's Brett Cananzi under pressure. Damian Johnstone down the inside is going to pick up a position here, and he gets this done right in the middle of the pack. Talk about drivers who've done well in the middle of the pack right now. Hanlon is behind Brenton Hobson all of a sudden. Taliangic trying to find a way through. But in all of this, Tom Freer is now up into 10th place, and there's still drivers who need to come down in and make a stop.
Yeah, Tom Freer is the best placed out of anyone at the moment. That early pit stop put him in great contention. But like I said before, it's going to depend on when he makes his second one. Is it going to be a
drive-through penalty?
Split. Drive-through penalty for whom?
Car 21, Harley Haber. So there you go. That was for what happened with Zach Hanlon. I am not surprised. A good decision made by the chief race steward, Simon Black, and Michael Korolev making a great call then as they go through. And all of a sudden, oh, that's late, Ethan, as you go through. And there, Harley's going to have to go straight on. And you know what? He is going to know that here is Ethan Greg He's not going to fight this too hard. Harley does have to come down onto the lane for Mark 1. This is the one fallacy that happens so much for the Vegemite of sim racing. It's the fact that he does get himself involved in these incidents, and it does cost him race victories.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there he goes into the pits to duly service penalty. There is Ian Ford in the pits. Can the overcut work for him? Sam Blacklock on the lane as well. But there goes James Scott right on by them and reassuming the race lead. This is going to be absolutely painful for Haber.
Well, 24 laps Ian Ford managed to make, so he could have a 10-lap splash and dash split if he wants to, but look at how much time he's going to lose here in the stop as he goes through and looks to try and get himself back out and going. He's going to be out behind Harley Haber. They're going to be out behind Brett Loxton. That puts you around 16th, 17th on the road as they go through, as they all look to try and get through. Wayne Burke, get a move done, why don't you, son? As he tries to get this one done on Jordan Ross. He does, and he did so very nicely. Not only that, his teammates fighting as well. That's Sam Sutton, I do believe, and he's just had to find a way past Zach Hanlon, and he's got the move done down at turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Sutton working his way up gradually, started in 19th, currently running in 13th on the road, and Jake Blackhall as well on the back here of Zach Hanlon. We want to keep an eye out for Blackhall. We saw that his qualifying times, his practice times as well, were excellent, and looks like he does have some great pace here on Hanlon, who would be a little bit rattled. Here he comes, a little look up the inside, but nothing for now.
Oh, here he comes looking for a move, and I'm not going to sing that one for fear of copyright strikes, but you now start thinking about, can you get this move done here? Blackwell gets a great run here on the Altus car, who is struggling a little bit, gets a nose to the inside. Behind that is Harley Haber, and look at that, Haber and Hanlon back together again. There'll be a little bit of disparity, but I've got to come down in onto the lane, almost running to the back of one Sam Sutton. Also in onto the lane is Ruben Goodall. He's going to make his stop. They went 25 laps on their stint. They'll be happy with that one for a run. But this is now how the field's going to stack up. Scott leads. Greg Galt in second position. Wayne Burke and Tom Freer finds himself in a career best 5th place, trying to fend off Glenn Postlethwaite. There's some fantastic racing here around this Montreal circuit.
Yes, indeed, and we're only 4 laps away from half race distance. We've seen this much happen in the first half of the race. What's the second half going to bring us? More of the same, I would gather. There goes Haber, big dive up the inside of Jake Blackhall, and he's looking for damage limitation now.
He certainly is. Back inside the top 10 he goes with that sort of a move, and he puts himself now in a bit of a pickle, some would say, because remember, he was one of the earlier stoppers, was Harley Haber. He's got to have a long fuel stint now, and he's dropped 20 seconds to drives in front with a drive-through penalty. He's now going to make his 3rd stop today, and how he makes that stop is going to be where the questions are going to be asked. Look at Glenn Postlethwaite, though, for the moment. Last time by, 7/10 out of Tom Freer. There's the difference maker in terms of the tyres for being the earliest stopper in the field.
Yes, absolutely. Tom Freer taking his pit stop on lap 13. So that he's been, oh no, John Emerson. That's some issues for him in the pursuit car. That's down at the hairpin, actually. Yeah. So I wonder what happened there. I think he's coming through trying to put the power on. He's just caught the grass then and gone straight around. So he's done a full 360 Roman Grosjean style. And John Emerson, well, he's not having much luck, is he, really? Because he was closing up to the back of the battles that were going on. He's dropped a whole heap of time in terms of what he was looking to try and get to at the moment. I believe that's about 7-8 positions he's lost. Yeah, and I think that's the case of the differential on these cars showing its difficulty in not doing badly, I guess, because these cars have a locked differential, so both rear wheels spin at the same rate. You get one on the grass, one on the tarmac. One of them is not going to have all the grip available to it, and you basically lost the entire rear end.
Well, I just want to keep an eye on Ethan Grigalt just for a moment. Just did a 1:37.3 that last time by, so he struggled on that lap. I wonder if he got a slowdown penalty somewhere. It didn't look like he ran into issues, because all of a sudden James Scott has a 5-second lead, and now Wayne Burke is just creeping behind Ethan Grigalt, saying, don't you forget about me, I'm still here. Here comes Hobo trying to get past on Taliancic here. This one is for 7th, and Taliancic has actually got the move done. 777 beats 88 as they chase down the 95.
Yeah, but have a look at the run that Hobo's got in the draft. It looks like he's just sitting back at the moment, not wanting to make a big move just yet. That's the kind of race Brenton Hobson is. He's always willing to just sit back a little bit more, wait for a clearer opportunity. But Taliancic, a little bit of damage on his car, losing a bit of straight line speed, but still got some good pace under that machine.
Well, you've also got to look behind. Harley Haber's found a new target. It's Sam Sutton. that he needs to find a way past, and he will need to make that move past cleanly, because not only has Harley Haber taken a drive-through penalty through that instant, I wouldn't be surprised if he's taken some penalty points as well from a couple of instants in this race. Remember, you get 1 point for every instant you are above a certain limit in this race, and a penalty point added to your championship total, so that will hurt. On top of that as well, though, Reese, you have to talk about the fact that drivers who get penalties also do get some penalty points on their championship from time to time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's something that that the drivers have to consider for the whole year, and ostensibly it should encourage cleaner racing. But we have seen quite a few whoopsies tonight from many a driver. But Haber, on the back of Sutton, hasn't made any huge gains in the last sector or so. But once they come to the straight, this is going to be the greatest potential for gains. These guys have Hobson right up ahead of them, who is a bit slower. Harley Haber's last lap, a 35.7. Brenton Hobson, a 37.5.
Well, you've just seen 2 moves go through as Ford's got past Blackhall, but look at Adam Briggs and co. Briggs has got Johnstone, Hinds and Cananzi. Cananzi's got through on Hinds down at the hairpin as they look to go to the right-left chicane one more time. Here, of course, with that fabled wall of champions there on the right-hand side. You don't want to run yourself into that as you go on through. Drivers all fine through that section, but that just shows you they are fighting for every position that they possibly can get their hands on here today. So now you start thinking about this. How much importance does my one position have in the grand context of a championship? You look behind, Ryan O'Sullivan, Michael Cracknell, Kyle Stokes. They're thinking 7-car train would be nice, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, for sure. 7-car train would be the optimum in that situation. But yeah, it all comes down to planning out your season race by race. You're always obviously wanting to shoot for the best position possible, but one position change can make quite a difference down the line, especially once we get to the Enduros, because drivers will be teaming up for those. A lot more points on offer. One bad result can throw a championship out the window. Here comes Sam Sutton and Harley Haber on Brenton Hobson down at the hairpin. They've managed to get it done very nicely. Hobson with the better run on Haber, though, side by side through the kink. But I think Haber's going to make his way by here.
Well, Haber's got the drop from Sam Sutton. That gives him the opportunity to pull back. He's not fully alongside. He's up to the A-pillar. Needs to get a bit more, and Hobbo decides to back out. I'm not fighting Harley Haber. I would have thought that there would have been a bit of sweat on his brow underneath that hood, that woolly hat that he seems to constantly wear on his streams. He's done very well, but now he's got to worry about another vehicle behind. It's the hard charging. Tyres are absolutely fantastic. Ian Ford.
Yeah, Ian, of course, with the longest initial stint of just about anyone up the front. Cananzi end up getting a slowdown in the midst of all of that, and a little bit of a slide in turn 1 for good measure. Looks a bit cramped down there.
It does. It looks like everyone's just trying to get that concertina effect working, the accordion happening. Johnstone through, though, on Thomas Hinds. He's got that one going side by side. Cracknell and Stokes. Cracknell gets through on Kyle Stokes. So the Zuva Racing car in a lovely green. I have to say, I do love that livery. Managing to make that move and getting it done all very nicely as they head into the lefts and the rights then of turns 5 and 6 and 6 and 7 out on track as they all look to make their push it through. But this has been very, very aggressive racing. Sam Sutton has actually lost the position now to Harley Haber. Where's that happened? Turn 5. Very lovely move from Harley. Got a great run. Opened it out on the outside. Dives to the inside and had it easy. Look at this. Wide goes Hobson again.
Yeah, Ian Ford on those nice tyres up the inside there, and it was an opportunistic move by Haber on Sutton at turn 5. Just taking advantage of that sling, and as James Scott crosses the line, we are now at half race distance. Final pit window is officially open now. Who is going to come down onto the lane first?
You've got to be brave to go 28 laps on the stint. I'll tell you that much right now. I think it looks more 27, 26 with the temperature conditions. Remember, this heat really does play a big factor when it comes to fuel numbers, Reese, because of the fact that you're going a little bit slower. You are maybe using less fuel because you're not getting to the higher ranges of top speed that you would have done maybe on a 19-degree track.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Track temp has fallen somewhat to 31 degrees Celsius, so it's gotten cooler, but still in that warm territory. The drivers do need to be careful of that and how it is going to affect their fuel numbers.
Exactly as they go through. I still got to keep an eye on the train. Issues for Cracknell. That's going to mean that Kyle Stokes is going to want to find a way through. Looking to the outside, trying to get it done. Maybe he dives to the inside. It's well covered, though, by Mitch Cracknell as he goes through. Michael Cracknell does a brilliant job. Rhino Sullivan's going to be looking at this going, hang on a minute. I'm on camera right now and I'm not making an overtake. What's going wrong?
Yeah, something's obviously not right there, but O'Sullivan has the potential to make two passes at once here if these two get together. Stokes having slight looks there on Cracknell, and you can see that, oh, Sutton's lost another spot there. Ian Ford continuing to charge his way up, and with that kind of pace, I don't know if he'll actually draft up to Harley Haber soon, but it looks like that might be the case.
It certainly does at the moment. You've also got to keep an eye out on Glenn Postlethwaite because he's being caught back by Tom Freer, who's not gone away in terms of that scrap. 5th and 6th on the road at the moment. Ian Ford, though, is the big worry, though, for everybody in this field because of the fact that he's running such great times at the moment. Only finds himself 25 seconds off the race lead, 36.2 in traffic. If he gets the tyres working the way that he knows he can, he's going to be right up there with that slow last stop as Tom Freer and Glenn Postlethwaite again looking like they're close at the moment. Not close enough to make a move, but that is the battle that goes on a little bit further down the field. We've also got Purdy and Ratu and Loxton for 13th.
Yeah, these guys all together in a line here. Loxton at the front of this train, and I'm sure he would have been expecting better from this race at the halfway point, but there's still quite some way to go, so Loxton can put in the hard yards. Brad Ratu, on the other hand, he's doing quite well at the moment. Started in 29th position and has made his way up into 14th through everything that's happened in this event. So a good drive from him, and just as I say that, he catches the grass ever so slightly on the entry.
Oh, well, I believe you're going to have to apologise to him when you get back to the paddock. That is what's called a commentator's curse, and they are not few and far between as we get a replay on screen of that overtake then, or they overtake this Sam Blacklock at the moment here, down on the inside, just watching himself maybe have an opportunity to go out there, be aggressive, try and make a move here or a move there as he goes through. For the moment, it seems he's got nothing, and there's a slowdown penalty, and thank you very much, that's a freebie. Cookies.
Cookies, indeed. Are they choc chip?
I believe they're raisin if you don't like the way that the move's done, but I believe that would be a nice butterscotch cookie.
Okay, I can deal with that. Nice. Brenton Hobson and Jake Blackhall just outside the top 10 here. Hobson really facing the pressure from Blackhall now. He's got a really good turn of pace in these last few laps.
He has, and you look at Hobson, 37 flat, Blackhall, 36.6, 4/10 of a second. Well, you don't need to do the maths to know that Brenton Hobson's going the wrong way at the moment in this field, and it is showing Job Stewart stopped. Job Stewart stopped on track. That could be a safety car here, and that was not what was wanted for the pursuit car. I think that may be an engine.
Yeah, well, it's on the exit of the chicane leading up to the hairpin. Pit limiter light is flashing. Oh no, yeah, it was engine. A little bit of a puff of smoke in the braking zone to the previous chicane. I just saw it, so this is potentially a safety car for sure. He's requesting a tow from race control.
It's on the circuit. It has to be a safety car. If it was off the circuit, I could understand it. Surely, you've got to make that call here if you're the stewards. That's surely going to bunch this field back up. We'll wait for confirmation on it. It's not secure, but surely now, this is now as good a time as any. Everyone will probably dive down in, make their second stop if a safety car does come out and get themselves going. So safety car comes out, and now the field is neutralised. This race is on again.
Hooray! I've been looking forward to this. We were talking about the possibility of another safety car. I'm very glad to have been proven wrong in my initial assertion that we'd see a clean run to the end of this race. But oh my goodness, have a look at the amount of drivers down on pit lane. Taliancic, Sutton, everyone's in.
Everyone having to dive in. Remember, that safety car is not out just yet. Nick Parker behind the safety car. He will go when he sees. So Haber, Ford, and Hobson, they're all going to come in, and this completely neutralizes the race for a lot of drivers. For Ian Ford, all his advantage he was going to have wiped out. But the good news is they've got their stops done early. They can then go out there, be aggressive. Drivers behind, maybe you have to come in a lap later, aren't going to be in the same position right now in terms of going through. Likes of Ethan Grigalt and James Scott and Scott Gamble and co. They're going to have to dive down in onto the lane. If they don't, there's a mistake. Out of pit road, Taliancic jumps Harley Haber, and in front of that, Sam Sutton. Good work from him in terms of the stop. Long stops coming through. Ian Ford, remember, he's got the shortest stop of them all. He's going to jump absolutely everybody who is in that pack.
Yeah, good stuff from Ian Ford, but once the green flag drops, he's going to have a rough time because these guys are all going to be very aggressive. There are our top drivers, our top 3 in on pit road. In comes Jordan Ross as well to make his second stop. What about Glenn Postlethwaite? Yep, in he comes too.
Yep, here comes 2. So Scott Gamble's going to take the race lead. He's going to get himself back on the leading lap. In comes James Scott. In comes Ethan Grigalt, Wayne Burke, Jordan Ross. They all had to come down in. Tom Freer and co. also diving in. This now puts Tyler Blackburn currently running around at the front of the train, but he will effectively look at this and go, well, okay, we're going to be almost a lap down at this point. We need to get ourselves back in on the leading lap. So they're going to be racing really hard under this safety car to get as close as they possibly can to these drivers who are taking the fuel. And there goes James Scott. He'll be comfortably away. Ethan Grigalt will follow, and following that is Wayne Burke, and he's got a good pit stop as well. On top of that, there's Damian Johnstone looking to try and get himself through. I think he's going to leapfrog maybe a couple of drivers. I think he gets himself in front of Wayne Burke. He hasn't pitted, though, under the stop. There goes Jordan Ross. There goes Ian Ford going through. So Jordan Ross is behind Ian Ford at least. Glenn Postlethwaite's behind Jordan Ross. And here comes Sam Sutton. And this is going to be close then between these two. But I believe it is going to be Glenn Postlethwaite ahead of Sam Sutton.
Yeah, only just when he came back onto the circuit. So Sutton will be ruining that he wasn't able to make up enough time to get that move done. But there's a little bit of a reset period now, a bit of a rest. James Scott, you can hear it in his engine, no revs. He is clutching that thing behind the safety car.
Well, they are just getting confirmation that they're going to get cars a lap down, passing the safety car to get back to race leader in this field, that being James Scott at the moment. So they are going to let drivers go through and let them get a wave around, so to speak, to get them back to where they need to. So this is going to be very important here in terms of how the strategy is going to be done. And there is, of course, the restart factor here, Reese. That becomes so vital when it comes to these restarts. And I would say the most aggressive driver on restarts, he drives in green and white, he drives the Mark 1, and he's called Harley Haber. And let's not forget, this is a Harley Haber that wants to get back as many points as possible. This is the safety car he was dreaming of.
Yeah, that penalty would certainly have put a damper on things for him, but he's gotten a new lease on life thanks to this safety car. You are right, he is aggressive in the opening laps, but these drivers will have just been touring around on those cold tires. They won't have had much of a chance to get some heat into them just yet. So every driver is going to be struggling for grip in those opening laps, same as they did on lap 1.
Well, they all know what they need to do. They all know that they are in fuel conservation mode for those. It's lap 34 now of 58, so 24 laps to go. They turn their fuel mixes down. They just save as much as they can. They are very much light and longing on that fuel. They know that they can then burn it a little later on in the race by going out there setting some really, really hot, quick laps. And this is where you're starting to see these drivers come into their own. In comes Adam Briggs for a very late call on for a stop. So he comes in. Safety car they now find themselves with at the moment. They do need to keep pace right absolutely behind the safety car. And that's key then. That's the directive being told here to James Scott. You can't sit back. You can't save fuel and be 10 car lengths back. You've got to get right up behind the safety car, my friend.
Yeah, race control putting the foot down there. And I mean, it is true to form for ERT, I will say, because they do have a bit of a focus on fuel and short filling at the stop, saving as much as possible under safety car conditions. That's how they've managed to work the strategy, and it's done very well for them in the past. But Yeah, it's James Scott's going to have to take a couple extra moments here to figure things out.
This is how the field looks. Scott, Greg Galt, John Stone, who's yet to pit, Burke and Ford, your top 5. Then it's Ross, Postlethwaite, Sutton, Taliancic, and Haber. ERT have 4 cars in the top 6, and when John Stone pits, 4 in the top 5. I'd say great job at the office from a qualifying that was very tumultuous.
Yeah, indeed. That shows exactly what you can do versus qualifying in a series like this. Those safety cars, the strategy, everything comes together and culminates, and you are able to get right up there as you want to.
Well, there is time remaining on this clock. There is a long stint remaining, and we saw, however, a stint. James Scott was fantastic, but he didn't have to deal with an Ethan Grigg Galt, Harley Haber 10th, Tom Freer in 11th, Blackhall 12th, Hobson 13th at the moment. Those are drivers to keep an eye out on. Maybe the likes of Brett Loxton, he's there in 17th, wanting to make a push. Ruben Goodall with a drive-through penalty there in 19th. He's looking to try and get himself back up the order. He's had a great run despite that drive-through. He's up a great 17 places as your biggest mover and shaker in the field today. So we'll get another lap behind the pace car. In comes Damian Johnstone right in the safety car window. That is a late call from Gone Rogue. That is a strategy faux pas, I would have said, because that means that he drops right to the back of the pack.
Yeah, that's a shame there for Johnstone. If he'd come in a lap or two earlier, it wouldn't have been the case, but he's just going to have to sit there, watch everyone go by. Brett Cananzi coming in as well as is Brett Loxton. These guys, just an absolute nadir of a race for them. Big shame, but there's still quite some time to go. We're going to have 11 laps remaining, 11 or 12 when the safety car comes in. Still some time for things to happen. Ah, yes. My apologies. For some reason, my brain is not registering numbers in the 40s today. So I apologize.
Car drive-through penalty for car 117. Ethan Grigg Galt, I believe, has just been given a drive-through penalty for passing under safety car. I think that may have been. So that's going to be a real big hurt. Racing will resume at the end of this lap, but that's a bombshell.
Oh, no. That is huge, all the way from second place, and considering the field's going to be so bunched up, he's going to lose more time than he would otherwise. He'll be right at the back.
Well, it's a huge, huge shame of that happening. It happens just like that. You do not want to cut the ire of the stewards. They do not forgive, they do not forget, and they will make sure that it all plays out in terms of factors for them at the moment. So that's something just to keep in mind as this looks to go on. So Nick Parker, control of the safety car. That will soon turn to James Scott as the pace car will be allowed to pull away. And all of a sudden, there is a nice little gap for James Scott. He's got a race winner behind in Wayne Burke. Ian Ford is there as well. Jordan Ross, Glenn Postlethwaite, Sam Sutton. This is going to be crucial here in terms of how this is going to work. And remember, 2 ERT cars at the front. They can coordinate the start that they want to. Watch out for Ian Ford. He's been nowhere all race. He's brought himself back into contention through strategy. He will want to try and prove that he's got the pace that he wants. Harley Haber from 10th place. Oh, he's almost bumped the back there of Taliancic. He's that eager to get going. So everyone's sitting, waiting. Pace car is down on the lane. When do you go if you're James Scott? He makes everybody wait for him. He is the concerto director. He looks to try and get himself going. He is the conductor, even, I was trying to say, as he looks to try and get himself ready to go. A concerto is much different. That's WWE. As they look to go through towards the final couple of corners. And, well, he's going to wait. He then goes, and let's get ourselves a green flag going again. And look at that. Ethan Grigg Galt knows he's got the penalty. Backs up the entirety of the pack as they get going.
All right, so Ethan Grigg Galt, the cork in the bottle here, and it's a potential move here from Wayne Burke. He tries, he fails. It's a big slide from Burke, and now he's got Ian Ford right on the back, following Jordan Ross. Yes, Harley already making moves side by side with Sam Sutton. They got a bit of a gap to the train in front of him, but move done for Haber. Here we go.
2 and 2 corners for Harley Haber. He got Taliancic, he got Sam Sutton. He'll be happy with that one. Next up for him is going to be Glenn Postlethwaite, who's now looking to get aggressive here on Jordan Ross. Not close enough as he looks to break the ERT machine, which has been forever unfallible. If you talk about how good ERT has been, and Sutton goes around.
Oh no, Sam Sutton, and that is down at, I believe, turn 6. So I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah, just went straight on for some reason. It didn't look like there was any kind of contact from anyone.
It looks like it was a technical issue for him. That's the only way you could describe that. A case of maybe the brakes, they did work, but maybe something else didn't on his machine. So he will not be happy about that. His race ends prematurely. Uh-oh. Right down on the brakes there. Great work from Hobson. He's trying to get himself through on Jake Blackhall right now. Blackhall's done well on the exit, though, using the Hobson line to get himself back into position.
Oh, there we go. Blackhall on the actually right in the midst of this potential top 10 battle here. Yep, Grigalt taking his drive-through penalty there. Potential look from, I believe that's Sam Blacklock right there. And, well, the Eggman has got egg on his face at the moment. That's going to really hurt.
It's scrambled up his chances at the moment. Let's get the punts going. Blacklock under pressure, though. Down the inside. We'll try and go Black Birdie. Can't quite get there. Haber is through, though, on Glenn Postlethwaite. Turn 2. He's got it done. As he ran too deep through turn 1. Pressure told as he got the grass. Had to try and fight it back as he goes through as Jamie Stovall now around for pursuit.
Yeah, everyone's struggling once again on these cold tyres. Stovall in a very awkward position here. Well, it's good. We're going to have 2 replays here, Sperry, just to see what on earth happened. This is the move between Harley Haber and Glenn Postlethwaite, and then we'll take a look at what happened to Jamie Stovall. But this move from Harley Haber, it was actually helped somewhat. Postlethwaite, as you said, going way too deep, just on the grass, and that left the door open for Haber. What about Stovall, meanwhile? Whoa!
Yeah, oh my! He got his tyres right up on that curb, and he tried to get himself going again. He's lucky he's not run into contact, and he very nearly beaches himself on the curb come the exit, so they go through. Scott Leeds has got a big lead over Wayne Burke right now. Ian Ford under pressure. Jordan Ross thinks he wants the podium. He wants to prove he wasn't just second best to Phil Selwer at Bathurst and was just his teammate. He wants to prove what he's got here as he looks to try and get himself down on the brakes into the right-left chicane. Not happening here. Ian Ford much, much better through that section. But look who is charging. Harley Haber. Remember, he was 10th when they got to the restart. He's already up by Tom Freer and co. At the moment. He's got himself up into place.
Oh, side by side at the chicane. Brett Cananzi just making it through there. And, oh, is that a potential slowdown for the 033? I think it is. So, jostling at the back of the pack, and Ethan Grigolt's got all of this to contend with at the moment. Meanwhile, Harley Haber, his pace is just stonking right now. He's set a 34.8 behind those 2 cars, and what can Grigolt do here?
Only one person was faster than Harley Haber that last time by. That was James Scott. And now Harley's got to try and get himself back towards a podium after a drive-through penalty. He knows that he's got to work hard. He knows he's got to get there. He's got time, though. In terms of this race, he's got 19 odd laps if he wants to go and make this move, and he knows he's not going to get it through these chicanes. He may get a look at the hairpin if he's a brave soul, and we know that Harley is the bravest of the lot, sometimes brave enough to look for fool's gold. He looks down to the inside, and he will try and get the move sorted here. Can you get the power on the exit here, Jordan? Answer is no. Great move done by Harley, but it's not complete.
Yeah, not quite complete yet. Ross has got a big run on him here down the straight, but I think there's not much of a chance he's going to try and go for it. Haber does go defensive, though. And there we go, Ross just backing off. Not worth it for now. What can Haber do versus Ford? Well, Ford setting a 35.5 on the last lap. What about this one as Haber is now on his tail? 2x2 back in the pack.
Look at Haber,
yeah.
Going for the inside for third. He's going to do it the long way round. Try and get a jump. Big wreck in the background, though, as we got an eye on that as well. So 2 huge incidents happening. Tyler Blackburn, spread eagle across the circuit. I'm sure he'll be able to get himself going, but a huge incident. Harley Haber up into the podium. Motum simulation replay. I caught absolutely none of exactly what happened. I was too busy focused on Harley Haber as they went through. So this was Haber getting the move done. He had to go to the outside try and get this move sorted. He looked to the outside, looked to the inside, and he thought, you know what, has to be outside that he's going to try and get this done. And he did a very good job of getting that move done around the outside. So now you start looking about this, though. They stay green here at Montreal, side by side. Adam Briggs, I believe, has just lost a position. No, that's Ruben Goodall who's just lost a position after everything that's just happened.
Yeah, and we're seeing what happened to Tyler Blackburn here. Just got turned all the way over on the right-hand side of the circuit, trying to go 3 wide down the straight, and that was a near miss for that Mach 1 Commodore.
Yeah, Scott Gamble got away with it there. That was a horrible, horrible incident. A second looking at things here. This is Brett Loxton's view of this incident. Slow car in front. Look to the inside. Where do you go? Oh, there's no gap there. There's no gap there. Tyler Blackburn was not over on the right-hand side. No gap at all for the Gone Road car. And Loxton lucky to get away with that one. You would have to feel at this point in time. But racing continues here at Montreal in your fantastic 2Ezy Finance Montreal 250. James Scott leading this one, and if memory serves me correct, he's looking for his maiden victory here in Scops, and it would come at Montreal, start of the season. What a way that would be. Cement yourself in terms of what you want to achieve this year.
Yeah, a round 1 win in any series is something to be proud of. It's stamping your mark on it. What's happened, Sperry?
O'Sullivan side by side with John Emerson. Emerson was in the grass at turn 1, trying to get the move done side by side. They ran into each other, they hit each other, but ultimately they've done well here, Reese. You've got to say that you look at, say, John Emerson, O'Sullivan still behind, but Emerson now holding the tray.
Yeah, Emerson has managed to work his way through a lot of dramas in this one, and O'Sullivan right on the back of him here. I love watching racing through those corners. It's fantastic. Ross Rizzo looking to make a couple of positions up as well, but at the moment, he's playing the follower.
He certainly is playing the follower. Drive-through penalty for Damien Johnstone after that big incident we saw with that contact. So you'll have to really try and get something out of this one. You may not even get anything out of this race if things continue like this. Blacklock trying to get through on Blake Purdy now. Couldn't quite get it done at the hairpin.
Yeah, Blake Purdy and Sam Blacklock, they've been fighting in and around each other for much of this race, and we look back as well from the view of Adam Briggs fighting with the Exto Gaming Commodore up ahead. Oh, a couple of technical glitches there. I think for the car in front, that's not going to be confidence-inspiring.
No, it's certainly not going to be confidence-inspiring at all. If anyone wants to know where Greg Gold is, I was just seeing that at the final corner. Issues for John Emerson, very nearly found the wall of champions there. Very nearly would have been a champion somewhere in the sim racing sphere, but he saves it, he keeps the position, and on the back of this train who's going to be coming up is Ethan Grigott. He's in 22nd position at the moment here, Reese. I reckon if he can get himself back to about 14th, he is going to get himself going.
Oh, Emerson side by side through the chicane. They did what Vettel and Hamilton could not, and they're continuing to go side by side.
Oh!
Through turn 5, careful, 3 wide, don't do it. Oh, the Trick Sim Sport car of Ross Rizzo getting shafted there. But have a look at O'Sullivan and Emerson. They are still going side by side, and Emerson on the grass.
Briggsy, where you going to go, buddy? Don't want to try and battle with these guys as they get on the brakes and go through. This is pretty much a very tough place. Oh, no, straight on, straight on. There goes the Altus Esports car straight on. Kyle Stokes got a piece of Zach Hanlon, and that wasn't good. Kananzi's going to get through. Ethan Griggold's going to get through. Justin Wallace is going to get through that as well. And all of a sudden, here's Ethan Griggold down the inside of Ross Rizzo. Oh, this is brilliant stuff.
Oh, Griggold just getting caught on the grass on the inside there. Bit of over-rotation. He's lost the run there versus Ross Rizzo, but he has the inside for the chicane and a little bit of a better straight line speed to Ross Rizzo. Yes, due to that damage, but still.
Here comes Ross. Looking at this one for 4th place, and Ian Ford had to let that one go. Didn't want to fight his teammate. All of a sudden, though, here comes Postlethwaite. Oh, you got to defend it there, Ian. The door was left half ajar. Ajar's not a door. You can't leave that one open as you go on through. So Ian Ford doing well. Glenn Postlethwaite, fantastic work, though. He's trying to harass and don't count out Freer and Taliancic. Both of them want pursuit cars in the top 5.
Yeah, and they are well on their way to challenging for that. Freer still fighting with Postlethwaite. We're getting a modem simulation replay of an incident with Ruben Goodall, we hear. So this happened down in the first couple of turns, losing a spot. Goodall running down in 18th at the time. It looks like... oh yeah, just running wide on the exit at 2. And there goes Ethan Griggolt. Thank you very much, mate.
A pit lane penalty for car 24, that's Zach Hanlon. So Hanlon's going to definitely cop a lot of trouble, and he's already deserved it, so he's going to be good as they go on through. But I think he may have even got a second one for the incident that he's just had just a moment ago, so that will not be useful. Gap at the front of the field though for James Scott, 3.2 seconds now he's got going through, as he's got 2 drive-throughs for Zach Hanlon. Burke in second, Haber in third. Haber's got to work hard here to get to Wayne Burke. Burke's quicker than him.
Yeah, at this stage of the race, yes. Coming across the start-finish line right now, Burke's lap a 35.806, Haber a 36.3. So the best of those tyres on the Mag 1 machine are now gone.
And we saw that it struggled on late stages. Stint did Harley Haber's Mark 1 car. A car that didn't was Evolution Racing Team vehicles. So they're going to be right back into contention the later that this race is going to go on. Some fantastic scraps up and down the field. This has been a treat of a race, this Montreal 250. You cannot argue with that. But now you start wondering here, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th onwards. This is a big, big scrap, and Jake Blackhall is now on the back of this train as well. He did a 36.3 that last time by, took half a second out of the entirety of the train in front.
Yeah, good pace from Blackhall once again. He seems to always get himself up in there in terms of lap time in this race. So Taliancic is the first on his target list, and oh, mistake from Blackhall. Bit of a slide coming through the chicane. He's lost some of that time.
Well, he knows behind. He's not going to be too worried because Blake Purdy's now going to try and think about maybe, can I get past Brenton Hobson? Not happening. Down on the brakes, or a little bit of contact as they go through, but all nice and calm. Not enough on the exit though for Purdy to really go out there and attack this section. You feel that one driver's going backwards at the moment, and it's Ian Ford at the moment, Reese.
Yeah, Ian, with that early pit stop, he was in quite good contention if the race had stayed green. Blake Purdy trying to have a look at the inside of the Synergy car, but nothing doing versus Brenton Hobson for now at least. Yeah, that is a very good run out of the chicane. Down the start-finish straight. They are side by side across the start-finish line. Can Purdy try running outside at turn 1? He's not going to have a go at it. Oh, yep, too deep from Hobson. And, oh, Purdy's not going to be able to take advantage.
Feed him a door and bring Blacklock into play. That was the case there, and Hobson wouldn't have liked to have made contact like that. He knew he outbroke himself, but he got away with it. Griggolt now on the back of John Emerson. He's in 16th place, looking 15th, looking for 14th. I reckon there's more coming from Griggolt. He's done a 36 flat that last time by. Not many drivers did 36 flats, only a handful were quicker. So those two were James Scott and Jordan Ross. So that tells you Ethan Griggolt heads down, and he's looking to put the hammer away through every single driver that comes up in front of him.
Yeah, excellent pace from Ethan Griggolt right now. John Emerson is the car in front of him. Here's Blake Purdy and Sam Blacklock still fighting there behind Hobo 88. So close to the wall there was Blake Purdy. Shows you how hard the drivers are pushing in these late stages of the race. But Ethan Griggolt getting closer and closer to John Emerson lap by lap. It's not going to be a move down at the hairpin this time round, but have a look at how much he gains.
On the brakes, he's fantastic. Wide goes Emerson, trying to get the power down. They battle behind him as well, as this is Brett Cananzi under pressure from Justin Wallace. Wallace has no traction on the exit. Thank you, Brett Cananzi. Takes through the small kick left as they go up towards the chicane once for lap 45. Error of 58 to be score complete. Emerson under no pressure through the chicane, but he will be heading towards turn 1 unless you're going to be so aggressive over the curves. If you're Ethan Griggolt, that's not going to be a move done. I wouldn't have thought this lap by, but maybe in a couple of laps time he will be able to get himself psyched up for that one. Not happening at the moment. Ryan O'Sullivan, the great equaliser at the moment for John Emerson, who remember started 7th on the grid here. Ethan Griggolt started P8 on the grid, so keep an eye on that as they go through. Some good battling going on, as I believe we've just seen a car get overtaken.
Yes, I believe we did, but not quite sure where that was. Oh, it's going to be a move. Ethan Griggolt on John Emerson. He's trying to go around the outside here of turn 6. Is he going to get it done? He's still alongside. He managed to get it done. Amazing.
It's not over. It's not over. Emerson wants the power down. He wants to get back at it here and on the back of this as well. Adam Briggs, work out where you want to go. Defended hard there by Ethan Griggolt into the corner. He's going to compromise his line ever so slightly through this section, and Emerson's got to be quick on the power on the exit. He isn't, and now Adam Briggs may want a chance down into the Lepangle hairpin, which has seen no overtakes from the big battles that are going on in front. Does Briggs look to the inside? No, not close enough. Not quite there to make the move. So there is a waiting game to be played as these drivers all look around and think, well, where's my next battle coming up? Jordan Ross closing in on Harley Haber. The podium is not secure.
Oh, certainly not. Harley Haber coming across the line. Let's see his time. It's a 36.6, so more pace drop off from him. Meanwhile, 36 flat from Jordan Ross. So Haber is in trouble here.
He is in big trouble. Hobson now looking at this. He's lost his spot now, and that's Blake Purdy, the young Blake Purdy, making a move. A very good move out of the final corner, which was a mistake from Brenton Hobson. He got over the curb, caught the anti-cut on the outside. Sorry, just caught the curb on the outside, had a huge tank slap to try and save it. Did so, and lost the position for his troubles. So he's done well to keep himself going, but still, you look at this and you go, well, that was some very entertaining racing, wasn't it? Glenn Postlethwaite under pressure right now from Tom Freer and Michael Taliancic. Pursuit are in pursuit, and they want 6th place.
They certainly do. Let's have a look at Tom Freer, just looking at every opportunity for potential sighting on what Glenn Postlethwaite is doing, and he's got Taliancic right behind him playing that supporting role. This could be a very successful day for Pursuit if they play their cards right in these last 11 laps. I'm right this time. 11 laps to go at the line.
Yes, we managed to correct it, so Reese.exe is now finally responding again. Still, though, some good work as it was a car pit entry that Ethan Griggolt did overtake, so that was why there was that pit penalty for Ethan Griggolt. He's now in 15th, chasing down his teammate Ryan O'Sullivan in 14th. Wouldn't have thought that would have been made too difficult, but Ethan Griggolt right now, how much of the tyres he used, I don't think he gets to Brad Ratu come the end of this race, and the next pack up in 13th place. Jordan Ross is right there, though, at the moment in the battle for 3rd position. The gap is 0.4 of a second. 36.3 meets 36.6, another 0.3 of a second. Harley's going to have to defend for 10 laps here.
Yeah, and defending around Montreal is, well, it's not difficult, but it kind of is, because a lot of straight line sections, a lot of braking zones, a lot of places you can draw up alongside in the slipstream, and Jordan Ross in a very slick-looking Mustang at the moment. Lot of pace advantage over Haber right now. It's going to be something we don't often see Haber do, a defensive drive.
It's not, but sometimes you have to. And that's the thing, you cannot be a complete driver if you... Oh, no offense and defense. He clipped the wall coming out of that 3rd chicane. So Harley Haber, got to go careful, buddy. It can very easily go wrong on you if you're going to start pushing the limits at Montreal. 1 inch out of place, very much like Belle Isle, race is over.
Yeah, here's a replay of that from Haber. You see him hit the wall, just glancing off it on the curb. No runoff on the exit of that corner. You have to be extremely careful out of there. Here's the view from the back. He gets right in. That was a fair few door panels, I reckon, in need of buffing out.
Yeah, that is very much the case at the moment, but that was still a good lap. He's managed to gain a little bit on Jordan Ross. He'll be happy with that, though, in the battle for the podium at the moment. 3.5 second lead for James Scott. Lost 0.3, though, last time by to Wayne Burke. Has he got a set that works well in the second half of the stint? Not got long if he is going to chase that down. It needs to be 0.3 a lap plus now from Wayne Burke. 3.5 needed at this point. Side by side, though, this is Brad Ratu, this is Brenton Hobson, and Hobson's lost a position here. He's lost 2. He went straight on at turn 1 as he went through, as they went into turn 3, as there was issues there into turn 3. He couldn't get it done, and all of a sudden Hobson behind once again as he finds himself more and more slipping and dropping positions. Replay on screen.
Yeah, let's have another look at this then. Hobson at the front of this particular train at the start of this lap. But it seems like he's just slipping further and further down the order. Those tyres have nothing left to give him at the moment. So, yeah, and you see exactly why there. Big slide from Hobson. He went way too deep into turn 1. Had to give up those 2 spots in just 1 corner.
Yeah, and that tells you exactly how that worked. Turn 3. That didn't quite work. A big wiggle. Oh, there's contact, and it's a teammate. Freer's running. Talianchis is running to Tom Freer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, only slightly. They've lost their gain. They've lost that. They've lost that battle that they're in. Sorry, with Glenn Postlethwaite, and that's some big pressure from Jake Blackhall on the back of Michael Taliancic now. Pursuit getting into each other, not good, especially in the dying stages of this race.
Rule 1 of sim racing, it is written in every book. What is Rule 1, Reese?
Don't hit your teammate.
What's Rule 2 of sim racing?
Don't
hit your teammate.
Yeah, exactly.
You emphasise it louder. That's the thing you can't do. Don't hit your teammate. And now Tom Freer and Michael Taliancic have broken the cardinal rule of sim racing. They've got to make sure that they don't hit their teammate any more longer. But there is still a handful of laps to go. There will be only 8 laps when they cross the line. Everyone has pitted twice. Nobody will need to come down and make a stop. Brad Rattu on the back, though, of Sam Blacklock for 11th position. That's going to be key. Something else that will be key, Ethan Grigalt is closing Brenton Hobson down. He's only 3 seconds back.
Yeah, Grigalt continuing to eke his way a little bit further up. And the gap between himself and Hobson, it looks like it's definitely achievable within the final 9 laps of this race. Hobson with nothing left in his tyres. Ethan Grigalt still got a lot left to give.
Well, we know Ethan Grigalt. He loves to battle. He loves to fight. He loves to have these scraps, and he loves to gain positions. He does so many times as he looks to go through. Still more battles, though, that go on still. Freer and Taliancic on it at the moment. We look at Sam Blacklock and Brad Rattu, though, at the moment. On-board perspective, as we see Rattu close to Blacklock, but not close enough. Exto Gaming versus Altus Esports, not quite happening on the brakes. Right, left chicane, not there for the time being. But there is still time to make those moves, and you've got to make sure that you are patient in the way that you make those moves as well here, Reese. There's no point going for a 50% move if it ends in disaster.
Especially at a track like this where there's basically no room to recover if you make a mistake. Tom Freer running a bit slow here, holding up this train. So I get the feeling that his tyres are now past their best as well.
Yeah, I think he was struggling. He left the door half open there to his teammate Taliancic. Didn't want to give too much more than that, so there was no change of position. Blackhall again on the back of this one. And also Blake Purdy thinking about maybe 7th position might happen. He's in the top 10. He'll be happy with that for the time being. James Scott, though, still leads with a handful of laps to go. And now you start wondering here in these battles, what do I have to do to get that one more position? Cananzi and Ross Rizzo, for example. Ross Rizzo has been having a quiet race. Cananzi may have the chance right now if he wants to, but he decides, you know what, I think better off this one.
Yeah, oh, Blake Purdy losing quite a few positions here in the last couple of corners.
Gaining.
Oh, no, making a move there on Jake Blackhall. My apologies, got him confused with someone else. Good stuff from Blake Purdy, working himself up into this battle, but Blackhall coming back at him, and Cananzi has just made the move at the hairpin on Ross Rizzo. We will get a replay of that in a second. Side-by-side running. Blake Purdy covers him off nicely. Good racing.
Yeah, a well-done move. You can be very proud of that one, Blake. You go on through. Cananzi doing well. A slow down penalty for Rhino Sullivan as well. We'll keep an eye on that one so you can see there is no bonnet there for Ross Rizzo. That's not going to be helpful. As you can see, goes to the inside. Big dive from the Eclipse Sim Sports team. And bingo! Nope, not quite going to get it there. On power on the exit, needs to have a little bit of help. Side by side they went. Oh, you can't get much closer than that. Piece of paper between the two, and then easily getting yourself through. Rhino Sullivan did lose positions though on that last lap, and crucially, it came on the back stretch through a slow down penalty of some kind. So O'Sullivan drops behind, Briggs behind Emerson. Not part of the script. Postlethwaite struggled last lap as well though. Freer closing in half a second that last time by. Race definitely not over for these positions in the top 10.
Yeah, Tom Freer's actually gotten back a bit of that mojo with his teammate Michael Taliancic. They're still running together, these two pursuit guys. And last lap, 36.6 from Freer. Oh, hello, Michael. Yeah, there he goes, through on his teammate. So I don't know if that was a coordinated swap or not, but I mean, considering what we've seen, that Freer was starting to lose pace, maybe that's it.
Look at Jordan Ross. He's now tucked up. He spent a few laps just waiting in the ether, saying, I need to cool my tires. I need to wait for my chance to attack. This may just be it. But again, look how aggressive Harley is through the final chicane. He gains 2/10 every lap in the final chicane. Again, Jordan Ross, 37 flat, 37.1. From Harley Haber overall. As things continue around the circuit, it seems that everything is just gearing up for this grandstand. Let's not forget, Blake Purdy's got to get past both his teammates right now.
Yeah, exactly right. Blake is right in the mix of this now. He's on the back of Tom Freer coming into the first chicane.
Got through.
And oh yes, indeed, Greg Galt is through. He's got one more position there, and the car that he overtook was Brenton Hobson.
Yep, Hobson had nothing for him. The tyres are gone on the Synergy car in the 88. So he is going to now look a little bit further back and see, can John Emerson catch? Probably not. Next up for Greg Galt, Brad Ratu, Sam Blacklock. He's got to get them in the final few laps of this race. There are 5 to go at the line for James Scott, who is still being kept honest, mind you, in this race, because Wayne Burke still 3.5 seconds back. He's still there if anything does happen to Scott. Here comes Jordan Ross though for the podium. Down the inside, not quite there. Angle to look for it, not close enough.
Oh, he's going to get a run here. He's going to get a big draft. He's right in range. He might be able to get alongside Haber here. Haber, oh, I thought he thought about going defensive, but they were just going through the kink. Great run right here from Jordan Ross. He's going to grab this.
He is down the inside. Harley sits and waits and looks to put the power down on the exit. Not got a good enough run. He checked himself up too much. And all of a sudden, there's Jordan Ross. 2 ERT cars on the podium. Harley, you got to fight hard to get that one back, my friend, as you get yourself on the brakes into the left-right chicane, 1 and 2, the big 180. And let's not forget, there's an Ian Ford coming back into this in the second half of this stint. So now all of a sudden, they're going to be back in. Postlethwaite under pressure from Taliancic and co. as they all scrap. And let's not forget here, 13th to 3rd is split by just 9 seconds.
It's terribly close here in the entire field in these last dying laps. That's why I love this series. You always get some kind of drama happening among multiple drivers at once. And have a look at how hard Ethan Greg Galt is pushing. He's backing that car into the turns. The thing is sliding.
I had a look at Harley Haber going through turn 7. He drifted the car halfway through the turn on the tyres. He's looking at again. He's drifting the car. The rears are absolutely shot on the rear of Haber's Mark 1 machine. And now, all of a sudden, you got to see this one. Ian Ford really close, looking for an opportunity. Surely Harley's struggling here. Another slide. The tyres have gone on Harley Haber's. And all of a sudden, Ian Ford's got a freebie, surely, here down the inside.
On the back straight, then through the kink. Haber's got nothing here versus Ford. He's got a great run, has the number 15, and fresher tyres too. Haber on the brakes. Ford, excuse me, does not come across onto the racing line into the braking zone, but that is full-on move done. Haber slipping back.
Well, he definitely didn't choke like you did there, Reese, but that's a different point entirely. There you see there, good move. Haber now struggling, falling backwards in 38 territories. Everyone else around 37s and 36s. Postlethwaite now struggling. Big slide as he goes through turn 2. Taliancic now could get 6th place.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. Postlethwaite 37.48 on the last lap. Michael Taliancic in the 36s, as is everyone behind him. So Posy in big trouble right now. Have a look at how aggressive Taliancic is on the braking zones. He's just firing it towards the apex a meter or so earlier. He's got a grip, he's got confidence.
He's He's got grip, confidence, and everything else. Ethan Grigalt has caught the back of Brad Ratu. Ratu's got to defend in the Exto Gaming car. On the brakes, though, into the second chicane goes Tally as he looks to try and get past Glenn Postlethwaite. Postlethwaite struggling on the exit, though. Gets a slow down penalty. There's one pursuit car. There's two pursuit cars. Blake, you're going to have to work for this one for the third one if you want it, buddy. Going to have to go around the outside if you want to get that move done. And there, of course, is a Jake Blackhall waiting in the wings as well to get the power down. Postlethwaite only loses two to pursuit cars. Ethan Grigalt waiting in the Speed Cafe Evolution Racing Team car. Not close enough to get past Ratu this time by.
Not quite, but he should have a chance in a lap or so's time. Have a look at this as well. Blake Purdy trying his best to go wheel to wheel with Glenn Postlethwaite and Posy.
Haber's in.
Very deep. Haber in the pits.
He's in the pits. Couldn't survive on the tyres. He's got nothing left in the tyres. So now he decides, I've got to come in. I've got to make a stop. These tyres are shot. I'm going to take someone out otherwise. And I think that even though it's the decision nobody likes to see, I give yourself big credit there for Harley to come down in and make that decision. Come down in, cost all these points, and decide, you know what, it's not worth it. Car slow though, it's Blake Purdy. He's lost the position through turn 2. I think he may have just had himself a slowdown of some kind, potentially, because he had to just back off of it, let Jake Blackhall go through. These tyres are the ones that are dying before the fuel is.
Yeah, exactly. Tyre degradation is going to be a big factor in this season. Haber's back out. He's in 21st position. Man, you know, you look at a race like this and all of the possibilities run through your head, man. I can't believe the kind of luck that the likes of Haber and Grigalt have managed to suffer on this day. Very long tour through the pits for Harley Haber.
It might be a fuel issue for Harley Haber then, and that might be a miscalculation. But on top of that, Ethan Grigalt could still come away with a top 10 at the moment if he gets past one Brad Ratu. There's a replay up on screen at the moment, brought to you by Motum Simulation. This is Danny Ackland in the Synergy Sim Racing car struggling. Oh, lovely slide there behind by the car there. That was Damien Johnstone there going a little bit sideways as into turn 3, into turn 4. Are you in the wall, my friend? No, you're not. So what's happened here? Oh, just he's let off the gas there and let him through.
Yeah, it didn't look like he got a slowdown either, so who knows? Might have just been a case of, it's the dying stages of the race, I've got nothing left to fight with, I don't want to battle. But these guys certainly want to battle. Blake Purdy, Jake Blackhall, right in front of them, Brenton Hobson. Blackhall actually having gotten through on Purdy. But these guys are incredibly close right now. Blackhall seems to have the edge at the moment, but Purdy, you can tell, still very aggressive.
We know there's popsicle sticks in the air. We know there's 2 laps to go in NASCAR terms, but they know they want to get one more position. Purdy there in 9th place, will want to get back to 8th. Postlethwaite trying to hold on. A top 5 is there for Synergy already through Michael Talianchi. She's had a great run today. But now you start wondering here, is the last move going to come now, or has it come a little bit later? What do you do if you're Blake Purdy here, Reese?
I would personally wait until the hairpin on the last lap, try and maximize my exit out of the chicane beforehand, but who knows, Blake Purdy might have a different plan.
You could just turn him.
Oh, or you could just go by like that when Blackhall goes straight on at the hairpin, indeed. So that's that sorted for now. In the background, now through and take it easy, boys.
Get it on the curb, why don't you? Ratu's not giving this one up here. He wants to show he's got the fight. He's got the bite on the last lap here and a little bit more. He's going to think about the inside. It's defended by Grigalt as they go through on the brakes at the 4 marker board. As they go through, Grigalt has got himself a top 10 after his drive-through penalty. Replay then very quickly. Yes, it is up on screen, brought to you by Motum Simulations. This is what happened. Grigalt, he came from a country mile away to dive down the inside, and you know what? You saw it coming as well, did Brad Ratu. Watch this on the exit though. Gets up over the curb. Whoa, easy Tiger as you go on through. But it is the last lap of this race. James Scott leading this one in the 088. Wayne Burke there in 2nd. Jordan Ross currently in 3rd position, and the battle's still going on as Tom Freer starting to struggle slightly as Postlethwaite, Purdy and Blackhall just behind, who are not in positions to go and make these moves. Wide in front goes Tyler Blackburn as lap traffic in front of Jordan Ross. He's just ahead. He's slowing slightly though. He's struggling maybe with Ian Ford. But one thing you cannot deal with as the fuel becomes a margin is James Scott. He has walked away from this field on no more than 2 occasions in this race. In fact, he's had to do it 3 times after the first pit stop. He has fought hard for everything, and he will get the culmination of his hard work and desire as the biggest improvement as a crash happens in the background. It's James Scott who will come to the line. A maiden victory in Scops for the 2 Ezy Finance Montreal 250.
An excellent second place, meanwhile, for Wayne Burke, and Jordan Ross is going to make it 2 ERT cars on the podium. A fantastic drive for Mr. Ross there. And unfortunately, that crash we were talking about, Ethan Griggolt was involved in it, Sam Blacklock as well. So the race has gone absolutely awfully right at the end. Here's what happened. Griggolt tried his best to go in deep and actually turns Blacklock around.
Yep, and then he goes for the big 180 to try and get it back going again. He had to redress that position. Ethan there, I think, was thinking one more position, maybe a 30%er we were looking at there as he was trying to get it on the brakes. You can see, looking for the brakes, looking for the brakes, looking for the brakes, looking for the brakes. Ah, I've run in too deep. Uh-oh, and round goes Sam Blacklock. And it has been a familiar scene today to see Altus Esports cars pointing the wrong way. Bo Albert pointed the wrong way, Zach Hanlon pointed the wrong way, and Sam Blacklock got it done on the last lap.
Staying on the replay, because Harley Haber actually managed to get past Ethan Griggolt right before the line. There's Ethan in the pits, and Haber just pips him right there because he hadn't gotten to the start-finish line yet.
I think that's called a self-drive-through penalty, and that just pretty much shows you how angry Ethan Griggolt was at that race. He left straight away from session and said, you know what, that race was supposed to be my crowning moment as head of ERT. That was farcical by my end. Classified results, though, up on your screen. James Scott becomes the new starlet of Scops as he picks up the win. An hour and 37 minutes. His margin was 4.5 seconds come the end over Wayne Burke in second position. Jordan Ross will pick up a podium in third, with Ian Ford finishing in fourth. Michael Taliancic gets a top 5 for the Pursuit Sim Racing team. It's 6th for Tom Freer, a career best for him in the 946, with Glenn Postlethwaite in 7th overall after starting from 4th. 8th position would go to Blake Purdy. 9th would go to Jake Blackall in the CQR car. And it would be a top 10 for Brad Rattu, who started today in 29th position.
Brenton Hobson and John Emerson will be disappointed with their running today, starting 9th and 7th on the grid respectively, having to settle for 11th and 12th. Adam Briggs, though, comes home in lucky 13 from 22nd position. A good run from him. Ryan O'Sullivan, one of the biggest gainers in the field. He started dead last, finished in 14th. Brett Cananzi rounding out the top 15. Ross Rizzo, Justin Wallace, Sam Blacklock. And then rounding out the top 20, we got 2 drivers that should have been up the opposite end of the field, Haber and Griggolt.
Yeah, big trouble for them. Benjamin Smith, 21st. Kyle Stokes, 22nd for him come the end. Jamie Stovold finishes 23rd, ahead of his former teammate Scott Gamble in at 24th place. And another driver who's looking to try and do well, Ben Christensen, 25th for him. Issues for Damien Johnstone means it's only 26th for him, with Michael Cracknell in 27th. Thomas Hinds finishes 28th. Dan Ackland went here, there, and everywhere and got himself into 8th place, 28th place, 29th place even. Sam Sutton getting 30th, as I've just seen something from Glenn Postlethwaite that was a little bit concerning, is the fact that his pit limiter button seemingly continued to hit about 8 times during the race.
Okay, that is certainly not optimal, and that would explain a few things that we would have seen from him in that one. Final page of the classified results. Our Split 2 winner, Andrew Dyson, coming home in position 31. Zach Hanlon, what might have been for Altus Esports, he has to settle for 32nd. Ruben Goodall is the last driver to be classified on the lead lap, and then we're starting to head into retirement territory. Tyler Blackburn, Brett Loxton, Job Stewart, Danny Davison, all of those guys would have been in contention in the midfield or the top 10, and Josh Muggleton, shame to have lost him as well.
Exactly. It was a lot of issues for drivers here today. Not many retirements, though. That's something that is very, very good to know. But We move ourselves over to post-race coverage, though, here with SimSpeed TV on the iRacing Esports Network. And most importantly, it's a crowning moment who was in the middle of conversation with Wayne Burke. We've stolen him. It is James Scott. James, how do you feel a maiden victory in Scops?
Yeah, definitely happy with that one. Plenty of laps in the off season, and yeah, it's paid off.
It paid off handsomely. You got yourself pole position. You got yourself very happily to the front, and it all worked out nicely for you. Stayed long, though, on the first stint, brought Harley Haber back into play, and it seemed that there was a crazy 3 laps that came along after the pit stop window.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Didn't know it was going to be that tight there with Harley. Thought I could stay out that second lap and still maintain a bit of a gap, but obviously you got a bit of an undercut and came out pretty much side by side, and then it was pretty gnarly for the next sort of 3 laps, and then unfortunately for Harley, you got to drive through, and yeah.
Seemed to be a case that the safety car brought everyone back together. You had a 5-second lead. That all dropped down to 0. It seemed like your rivals behind you all ran themselves into a lot of issues today. And then you found yourself looking at a victory where you had to keep Wayne Burke behind. How easy was it in those final stages for you, knowing that you had Wayne Burke keeping you honest throughout the entirety of the last stint?
Yeah, definitely very hard. In that middle stint there, before the safety car, I was sort of just cruising and maintaining a bit of a gap to the guys behind. But then after the safety car, obviously it was a bit of a fuel saver, not a massive fuel save. Um, but yeah, I just went flat out for the next sort of 3 laps after the safety car. Tried to get a bit of a gap, and unfortunately for Ethan, got a drive through. But yeah, it was definitely kept me on my toes all the way to the end.
Well, you were kept on your toes, and more importantly than that, Sonoma comes along in a couple of weeks' time before we let you go, and he shouts out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
Yeah, first of all, shout out to all the guys at the Evolution Racing team. They've put in a lot of work in the off season, and it's obviously shown here today with a strong result. And all the sponsors: Logitech G, West End Mazda, Too Ezy Finance, and Parramatta Isuzu. And obviously, you guys for putting on a great show.
Well, very good racing that we have seen there. It was James Scott who picked up the victory. Wayne Burke would come home in second. He stood by with the Southpaw Racer.
He certainly is. Welcome to the commentary box, Wayne. Congratulations on your second place. A good run from you, first time out for Scops in 2020.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, just got to congratulate Evolution Racing Team and James Scott on an awesome drive. Like, just way too much pace for me. He's put a lot of work in over summer and clearly showed today. But yeah, the HDM OPR car was pretty good. It was very good at the end, I found, on a rubbered-in track, but just not quite enough for that ERT car.
How were you approaching the strategy? Because we did have 2 safety cars in that race, which changed things up a bit throughout the field.
It was actually a bit of guesswork because my JRT crashed on me. So I was sort of doing it by the seat of my pants, and then I tried to short fill a bit in that last safety car, so I had to save a bit in that last stint.
Well, would that have played into chasing down James Scott in that final stint, or was the pace just too good from the ERT boys?
I think the pace was too good. It probably actually helped me a little bit save the tyre by having to save fuel. But yeah, I think the pace was just a little bit too strong. It was just probably 2/10. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Bring on the next round.
Yes, of course. Next round at Sonoma, and thinking about that, what's the go in terms of OPR's preparation for that round?
Hopefully just the same fun. So working together. So we got a couple of guys. Sam actually built the set this week and was the one I used, and so yeah, we're trying to build on catching the bigger teams and yeah, keep going on. I do enjoy Sonoma, so it should be a good racetrack for us.
Certainly should. Before we let you go, Wayne, who gets it done for you? Shout outs and sponsors for One Performance Racing.
I just have to thank Euros Driver Training, HDM, and Night Rider Designs.
Thank you very much for joining us, Wayne Burke, the number 89, your second place finisher. The next driver we're going to talk to, Sperry, is our third place runner, Jordan Ross.
That we definitely are, Jordan. It seemed today that a race for you. You started off in 5th position. You were up, you were down, you were left, you were right. It was a race of consistency and one that you really had to grind out to get a podium today.
Yeah, it was just I just wanted to stay out of trouble today and just keep the car clean and hit my marks and just see where I ended up. I didn't really want to get involved in battles to the death, and paid off in the end.
It certainly paid off. A couple of rivals around you seem to be a little hot under the collar here at Montreal. How difficult were the track conditions today? It seemed like it was medium conditions in terms of heat, but the tyres were killing drivers towards the end.
Yeah, our car was pretty good on the tyres. Like I wasn't out and out fastest out there, but we had good consistency, like over the 20 sort of lap stint. So I think that sort of kept me in the hunt. But like my lap pace probably wasn't as good as James or Ian or Ethan, but yeah, good consistency. So good work to get a set from ERT. Everyone worked well.
Everyone worked well, especially under new management with Jamie McKnight taking over the reins from Brenton O'Brien. How has that change been in philosophy at Evolution Racing Team, going from management of O'Brien to management of McKnight?
They're different people, different characters, but much of the same. We're still sort of dedicated to getting on and getting a set and working together. So in terms of how the drivers work together, it hasn't really changed at all. So I know Jamie's working on some pretty cool things with sponsorship and stuff coming up in the future. So we look forward to that. Make the team a bit stronger.
Something else you'll be looking forward to is Sonoma in 2 weeks' time. How do you think that the series is going to stack up after one round of the championship? Maybe a few surprises towards the front of the field, drives that maybe people weren't expecting to be as quick as they are. Do you feel like ERT are best placed now to really make a charge and go after it again for another driver's title?
Absolutely. Like James has just come along in leaps and bounds, and I remember talking to him in about December, and I said, "Mark my words, you will win at least one Scops race next year. So keep at it." And round one, and he's got a win under his belt. So I think going to Sonoma, he'll be fast. He'll be hard to beat. Then there's all the other guys from Pursuit and Altus and whatnot, and they'll all be fast as well. And the guys from Synergy have been super fast. Posy and Ackers and all those guys have been up there. So we won't have it all our own way.
Well, they won't have it all their own way. Before we let you go, Jordan, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you, buddy?
Yeah, mate. Logitech G, Speed Cafe, Parramatta Isuzu, West End Mazda, everyone at ERT.
No worries at all. Jordan Ross picks up a big podium. Someone who's often been considered having a supporting role is Ian Ford, but he's had a good run here today to 4th place. He stood by with Reese.
He certainly is. Welcome back to the commentary box, Ian Ford. It looked like you were going to go for that long strategy, the long stint in the first half of the race, get the overcut done, but the safety car put a spanner in your works a bit.
That's it. I was going long in the first stint and then even stinting the last two so I could have fresh tyres for, about 17 solid laps instead of skating around on those dead old marshmallows that we had at the end. But, safety car threw a whammy in the works. Should have probably gone a lap longer so I didn't have to fuel save. But I think all worked out. I'm going to go steal some champagne from Scotty.
Excellent stuff, and certainly an enjoyable day for Evolution Racing Team with 2 cars on the podium. For your race, though, you did mention tyres, and we have heard that tyre degradation is a very big problem with the cars now. It's something that the drivers are going to have to take care of. So what kind of things are you doing at Evolution Racing Team to mitigate that?
Driving better.
Good
like
answer.
you can play with the cambers a little bit and that sort of thing, play around with toes so you're not getting quite as much scrub. But at the end of the day, it's like it all comes back down to driving. And what we managed to do around here was literally just not lean on the tire quite as hard for pretty much most of the stint. And then, at the end of the stint, you gain significant time on drivers that are, pushing every lap.
Well, a 4th place for you to start things off. Potential for a podium, certainly, but you must be happy with the 4th place in only the first round of the season. It looks like it's going to be a good year for ERT.
Oh, absolutely. It's like first night of pre-qual, I was about 67th, so I did a bit of hustling last night to get the car to my standard. And, you know, it's going to be a good year. I like how mixed up the field is at the moment, and everyone seems pretty bunched together. Especially when you look at qualifying, there was about 1.2 seconds separating us, which, you know, with dynamic track and all the rest of it, that is insane. So we're always going to have to be on our aim game to keep up this performance. But I'm sure with Scotty on a high, Jordan on a high, it's like we're all bounced up back again.
Exactly right. Well, best of luck for the rest of your season campaigning in Ford, and we will see you at Sonoma. Do you have any shout-outs or sponsors? Who gets it done for you?
Oh, absolutely. Scotty on his maiden win. That's a bloody awesome performance for him. You got Parramatta, Isuzu Ute, West End Mazda, Logitech G, and everyone else that managed to get this series and the broadcast together. Thank you.
Ian Ford there from Evolution Racing Team, 4th place finisher. And Sperry, it looks like we're getting Mike Taliansich into the box now to speak with you.
Yes, it looks like that way. Mike, firstly, let's talk Rule 1 of sim racing, a bit of contact between you and Tom Freer.
Oh, yeah, I've got to give him a bit of love there. Can't treat him too nicely just because he's a teammate.
Well, no, we know exactly that much, and of course he's new as well, so you've got to have some form of initiation period. But, Mike, it seemed like today this race was going to be a tough-fought one. Started 13th on the grid, had to work hard to gain positions throughout this race. How difficult were the opening couple of laps for you?
Oh, they weren't too difficult. I was just being as cautious as I could because you never want to race on the first lap, as you know. I just really wanted to survive and then move on because I knew I had very strong pace here, but you can't really put it in the race if you end up in the wall.
Well, you definitely can't deal with pace, put it in the wall. You're absolutely right there. But Shoot have seemingly got a very fantastic core of young drivers underneath them. Got Tom Free, got Blake Purdy, got yourself, of course. You got the likes of Andrew Gilliam, who wasn't here today, but is certainly a big part of how this team is run. Do you feel like Pursuit is going to be that team for the future?
Oh, we've been setting it up for this for a long time. That's we've been taking on the younger drivers, trying to help them learn and projecting ourselves towards the front of the field. Be good to have some competition with ERT, and they obviously had a really good round as well.
Well, a good round for them, a great round for you as well. Before we let you go, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you, Mike?
I'd like to have a big shout out to Track Racer. They've been supporting us for quite a while now, as well as MXTV. Very much appreciated from them. And a big shout out to all the guys behind V8SCOPS. Without you, we wouldn't have this race. So, very much appreciate.
Well, no worries at all. Michael Taliancic with a P5 finish. But Reese, final thoughts as we depart from Montreal, we head to Sonoma.
We certainly do. And Sonoma, I've been looking forward to that one for quite some time. It's one of the historic tracks in Australian touring cars on iRacing, racing at the Cup layout, and that's in 2 weeks' time. It's on the 1st of March, and you can catch it right here on the iRacing Esports Network, presented by ourselves. Can't wait.
I can't wait either, but a massive thanks, of course, to those who get it done for us, of course, to Motum Simulations, who help with the replays, and of course, when it comes to V8SCOPS, it is presented by the Virtual Racing School. Make sure you get yourself a subscription to them, as well as to Ezy Finance. This has been the Montreal 250, and it has been absolutely fantastic. Australian touring car racing is not over when it comes to racing action, because you've got your Monday night V8 that will come into full fruition. Make sure you check that one out tomorrow night. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But from Jay Kennedy behind the cameras, from Reese Gardner, who's been brilliant on my right-hand side, I, of course, have been Jake Sperry. It's a win for James Scott as the Evolution Racing Team get themselves to the top. Jared Hu, goodbye.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God.
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!